And he's doing it because, as I told you, he has also seen those pictures. 30 plus MLAs of his caught on camera signing documents, a resolution saying that they do not believe anymore in the integrity of their own leader and their chief minister. The numbers, viewers, and I'm going to pull up those numbers and I'm going to talk you through some of those numbers. Those numbers tell the entire story. The Sena rebels in Guwahati are 30 plus. Sena MLAs en route to Assam to Guwahati are 2. MLAs in Uddhav camp are only 16. And that too, viewers, might be an optimistic number. MLAs who are non-committal are 5. The MLAs that are needed to break the Sena are 37. All it takes to break the Sena is 37 and not attract the anti-defection law. Just do the maths. 32 plus 2 plus 5, that takes you much beyond 37. And even if someone were to tell you that those Sena rebels also include 5 or 7 independents, even then, viewers, it's a near thing. It's a near thing, because more than 30 MLAs out of 55 not in your pocket, militating against you, criticizing you, not recognizing you as their legitimate leader is a vast number. It's a vast number, viewers. And that hardly can be taken as a sign of confidence. Now, think about it, viewers. If Mr. Thackeray's own loyalists don't think he's up to the job, then how can we, the people who elected him to serve us, trust his capacities? But despite this, Uddhav Thackeray eagerly clings to power, mocking the mandate and political morality, viewers, by defending the indefensible, which is his continuance in office. Listen in.
कारण का तरी शिवसेना बाळासाहेबांची शिवसेना राहिली नाही असं काही जे आरोप करतायत त्याला सुद्धा माझ्याकडे उत्तर आहे. ज्या शिवसैनिकांना असं वाटत असेल की मी शिवसेनेचं नेतृत्व करायला नालायक आहे, चला मला सांगा, मी हेही पद सोडायला तयार आहे. मी शिवसेना पक्षप्रमुख पद पण सोडायला तयार आहे, पण हे सांगणारा विरोधक नाही. नाहीतर असे फडतूस लोक खूप आहेत, त्यांच्या सांगण्याबद्दल किंवा त्यांच्या त्या काय ते ट्रेंडिंग ट्रोलिंग ट्विटर फिटर ह्याच्यासाठी मी काय त्यांना मी बांधलेलं नाहीये, मी माझ्या शिवसैनिकाला बांधलेलं आहे. आणि शिवसैनिक सुद्धा या भानगडीत पडणारा नाहीये, कारण तो फेस टू फेस संकटाला सामोरं जाणारा शिवसैनिक आहे. म्हणून त्यांनी सांगावं, मी दोन्ही पद सोडायला तयार आहे, पण मी मुख्यमंत्री पद सोडल्यानंतर जर शिवसेनेचा मुख्यमंत्री होत असेल, मला आनंदाने मान्य आहे.
Now viewers, let's go straight across and get to the latest, because in a dramatic move, just a few moments back, Uddhav Thackeray offered the chief minister's post to the rebel leader, Eknath Shinde. Shinde is expected to speak any moment now to the media. Clearly this is an attempt to preempt that. Clearly it's an attempt, viewers, to bribe him. Clearly, viewers, Uddhav Thackeray believes that the chief minister's post is his to parcel around like it is some incentive. Clearly he doesn't think it's a privilege that is handed by trusting voters, a privileged post from where you serve the state and not yourself. Look at how much in his mind the warping is between what he believes today is his right and what he believes today, viewers, is in the interests of the right thing to be doing. I want to go straight across to some of our reporters. Arunil, coming to you first. This offer that has been made by Uddhav Thackeray, where does this come from? Why is he making this offer right now? What's the logic?
Well, Rahul, let me tell you the reason why Eknath Shinde's press conference has been delayed now is because there have been series of calls that have been made from the close confidants of CM Uddhav Thackeray to the people of Eknath Shinde, basically giving him multiple offers. A slew of offers have been provided to him. This after the 1 hour meeting that took place between Sharad Pawar and CM Uddhav Thackeray, and basically mainly the crux of the meeting that took place between these two leaders of the Mahavikas Aghadi was how Eknath Shinde can be pacified, what can be offered Eknath Shinde, and the discussion about offering him the CM post was also a part of the discussion that took place over there. But Eknath Shinde, as we saw his letter in the morning, he basically clearly spoke against the Mahavikas Aghadi government, spoke against the Congress and the NCP, saying that he was against this alliance. The way Congress and NCP have made Shiv Sena and CM Uddhav Thackeray to compromise on on Hindutva, he was completely against this, and his rebel MLAs, basically the MLAs who have gone with him, they also feel that a Hindutvadi Shiv Sena should be initiated on this front, and that's why the delay has been coming in from Eknath Shinde's front. Right now at CM Uddhav Thackeray's residence, Nana Patole has gone over there, Maharashtra Congress chief. So after the NCP, the Congress also reaching out to CM Uddhav Thackeray.
Okay, let me bring in Nibir once before I go across to Padmaja. Nibir, you have of course been reporting outside of that Guwahati hotel. Now, why is Eknath Shinde not coming out and responding in clear terms to Uddhav Thackeray, who says that I want you to come to me, say what you have to say to me face to face, and if you still believe that I need to quit, I will go.
Yes, indeed, there is much deliberation going in the mind of Eknath Shinde, because he had said that he is going to meet the media at 7 p.m. and then he delayed it, and now there are no information further whether they are going to meet the press. So there is much deliberation going in the mind of Eknath Shinde. But one thing has been clear, that he has displayed his stand since yesterday when he arrived in Guwahati. He has been very clear. He has displayed his stand and he has not bowed down, and that is and that's why the show of strength that was evident today at the hotel was in full display when the dissenting MLAs came here. They came with the slogans Jai Maharashtra. They were in full swing when they entered the hotel, and now we also got to know that two more MLAs are also joining the ranks. So the show of strength continues, although there is a lack of clarity whether he is going to meet the media, because there is definitely much deliberation going in the mind of Eknath Shinde.
Well, possibly also he knows that he might be 2 or 3 short still of that magic number he needs to avoid, the clause that would lead to the disqualification of the entire faction. So maybe that's something that he's waiting for. There are some MLAs en route. But Padmaja, what did you make of Uddhav Thackeray's address to the state? Do you believe that Uddhav has answered his doubters? Did he make a strong case for himself to continue in office?
Actually, all that Uddhav Thackeray said left one major question, the elephant in the room, completely unaddressed, and that was spelled out in black and white in the letter that had been sent by the rebels from Guwahati. This letter actually holds the key. When Uddhav Thackeray said, you should come and talk to me, tell me what you want, the rebels in their letter have already told him what they want. And let me quickly point out 3 main points from this letter. Right at the end, they say that our leader Bala Saheb Thackeray was a strong nationalist. We have been subjected to a lot of criticism for being part of this corrupt Maharashtra government. So you are saying essentially that Eknath Shinde come and be chief minister. Eknath Shinde is not arguing right now about who is to be chief minister. He is saying, I do not want to be, none of us want to be a part of this government. The problem is the government. And why is it a problem? Here is where they spell it out. They say there is enormous discontent among cadre of our party for forming government with NCP and National Congress, who are ideologically opposed to Shiv Sena. There has been a compromise of principles of Shiv Sena, which is a party with fierce ideological base. Also, there is great dissatisfaction among the cadre on account of corruption in the government regarding police posting by Anil Deshmukh and Nawab Malik. So, you are trying to put a band-aid on a cancer, and the cancer here is spelt out as the Aghadi itself. The coalition is the cancer, according to the rebels. Rahul.
Well, thanks indeed, Padmaja. I'll come out to you, Radhika, in just a few moments. Viewers, I began by situating for you the reasons why the entire events that are unfolding in Maharashtra are a farce. But they're also a tragedy, because today there is virtually no government in Maharashtra. MLAs from the ruling party are in Guwahati. They've taken up residence there as if they were elected to serve the people of Assam. They spent 2 nights in Surat as if they were more interested in serving the people of Gujarat. Those that have stayed behind to prop up Uddhav are so busy trying to ensure that they can hang on to their own MLA-ships that they are least concerned with the welfare of the citizens. Even the opposition in the shape of the BJP's MLAs are distracted by dreams of sweeping back to power. The public's welfare is the least of their priorities or concerns. This is the people's, Maharashtrian people's great misfortune. India is at a crossroads economically. One wrong step and it can all go south. At a time like this, it is vital that India's financial and industrial hub is governed in an exemplary manner. The last thing Maharashtra and India needs is a lame duck chief minister who is destined to lurch from crisis to crisis. A few hard facts will put into perspective why Maharashtra's economic health holds the key to India's growth story. 38% of India's direct tax collections come from Maharashtra, 14.2% of highest share. National GDP, rupees 3.84 lakh crores, direct tax by residents and corporates. 32% total tax collection from Mumbai alone. Mumbai is the 16th most expensive property market in the world. $56,000 millionaire households in Maharashtra, the highest in India. #1 most urbanized state in the country. It's interlocked with India's economic fortunes. And I'm going to open up this debate because from farce to tragedy, it's all playing out. And the questions go straight to the Shiv Sena first this evening, and I want to go straight to Sajid Supariwala. There are also, of course, Congress sympathizer and Aghadi sympathizer Tehseen Poonawala. There's Yogi Gade, leader of the Shiv Sena on the panel, Sujata Pandey, political analyst, Dr. Ranganathan, and Tushar Gupta, senior editor of Swarajya. None of our panelists really need much of an introduction, but I want to bring in Sajid Supariwala. Sajid Supariwala, the question is, you don't have the mandate, you don't have the trust of your own MLAs, yet you cling to power. Has Uddhav Thackeray lost the moral right to rule? It's a simple question.
First of all, my Sahib, Shri Uddhav Sahib Bala Sahib Thackeray, has never been greedy for power. He has had all the powers he needed from the time he was born till the time he has become a CM. Today also he is as powerful. He does not greed for power, does not crave for power. He is a kingmaker. He had been selected and he was the choice for the CM only to save Maharashtra from dirty politics. First of all I can say is this dirty games which are going on greed, on indifferences, on misunderstandings is really very, very sad state of affairs today. Our Maharashtra state is really under unnecessary turmoil which has been created by some reasons unknown to all of you and me as well. The reason of deserting Bala Sahib Thackeray and Uddhav Sahib Thackeray and Aditya Sahib Thackeray is still unknown. I'm sure that people have not deserted him. Our Shiv Sainiks, if you see on the road, you will see thousands of Shiv Sainiks pledging our loyalty and support to Shri Uddhav Sahib Bala Sahib Thackeray, as well as here on your TV, on the media. I also claim the same. Whether CM is a very small thing for Shri Uddhav Bala Sahib Thackeray. He is the Sena chief and nobody else. All I can say is that I have just tweeted, we do not need to do that.
And you don't know the reasons.
Hearts. Bala Sahib is etched in our hearts. We do not need to claim, or we are not waiting for him to be powerful. He's already powerful. Whether he remains the CM or not.
Yes, Mr. Supariwala, 1 second now. You are saying that he's not greedy for power.
I'm not talking as a Shiv Sainik.
And one
I'm
second.
talking as a citizen of Maharashtra. I've
Okay,
got
fair
thousands
enough.
of tweets
Mr.
and thousands
Mr.
of people
Supariwala.
who are saying that Uddhav Sahib is the only choice.
Okay, he's
for
the only, he's
CM
the
of
greatest
Maharashtra.
guy. Now listen to me. One second, Mr. Supariwala. One second.
He's
You
the
said
only-
you don't
because-
know the reasons.
Because the way he's handled the
You
pandemic.
don't know the reasons
Do you think any
why.
other CM would
You
have
don't
been
know
able
the
to?
reasons why the banner of revolt has been raised against you. You call this a dirty trick. Now, let me take you through some facts. The first red flag
Yeah, sure.
that was waved, viewers, was by MLA Pratak Sarnaik, who wrote to Uddhav to join the BJP in June 2021, few days back, pleaded to end the alliance for the sake of Hindutva. We are still not talking about Eknath Shinde, the person who has cobbled together this bunch of Shiv Sena rebels. We are only still talking about MLA Pratap Sarnaik. He says, end it, save Hindutva.
Okay. Can I reply?
Red flag 2, 21st August 2021.
Can I reply to this
BJP's Narayan Rane offered to induct Shinde in the BJP. Red flag 3, state intel warned of 8 to 10 MLAs in touch with the opposition. Shinde was named as an MLA in touch with the opposition. Red flag 4, 8th June, RS polls. BJP won due to Sena Congress cross voting. It was clear that there was a rebellion brewing in the ranks. 20th June, MLC polls. BJP won its 5 seats due to cross voting. It was not supposed to win 5. Red flag 6, around 35 MLAs left Maharashtra for Gujarat, but the state government looked the other way. Viewers, the signs were there. You only
Can I reply
had to
your
listen.
questions now?
Mr. Supariwala, how can you say you don't know? The letter that has been written to you
Can I?
by the rebels says that you reneged on your promises, you have betrayed the legacy of Bal Thackeray.
Where were they since the time the government is formed? Why that only recently they have started writing all this? Secondly, my other answer and reply to your questions are that first of all, whoever has written letters, only the 35 MLAs cannot decide the running of the state government. It is a government which is called Mahavikas Aghadi. There are certain things you cannot jump from here to there and be an opportunist. My Sahib is not an opportunist. He
Really?
has been loyal with whomever
He
has
contested
been.
with the
Even
BJP.
during the time of BJP,
He dumps the
he was
BJP
very loyal. BJP
after the
backstabbed.
elections
1 minute, let me
and
complete when
switches
you're
to the
asking me a
Congress and
question,
the
Rahul.
NCP.
Please let me complete it. Otherwise, it's futile asking me a question. If you do not let me speak, Rahul, I will not be able to explain. I want to be very calm and cool and explain so that we both can understand what we are talking about. I gave you time to ask me a question.
Right.
Please let me reply. If you feel it is wrong or it is indifferent, we can always debate on it.
Okay.
The thing is that why the Shiv Sena did not form a government with the BJP, because they had promised something which everybody knows, 2.5 years of each chief minister of either parties. Now what happened was that promise wasn't kept, and Bala Sahib's principles are there in Uddhav Sahib. Everybody knows that. I do not need to say as a Shiv Sainik. Today the whole Maharashtra has seen. I've got thousands of people from other parties also praising Uddhav Sahib Thackeray, though there are political differences. But being an opposition does not mean that you can slander people or you can say that Hindutva has not been followed. Uddhav Sahib has never said that we will leave Hindutva or we will not do anything about it. Just recently Uddhav Sahib and team had visited Ayodhya also. Just recently Uddhav Sahib has been doing so many things for all the religions. Let me complete. Not only Muslims, but Hindus, Christians as
We've
well as
heard
Sikhs.
Uddhav Thackeray, he gave us his resume.
He's never
the last
been
2.5 years, Mr. Supariwala, you don't need to repeat what he told us. I now want to pick up on the point that was made by Mr. Supariwala. Sajid bhai, 1 minute. You can't just keep on and on dominating and talking. You made your point. We understood. You said that you haven't betrayed Hindutva. I've understood, sir. Let's not talk the hind legs off.
I need 5 seconds.
Of the other panelists. It's okay. Just give us 30 seconds.
I need 5 seconds.
Take 5.
You're giving me 30 seconds? Okay, good. What I'm saying is just being inclusive with all the religion and taking them into confidence and doing their work as well as the work of the Hindutva, does it make you a less Hindu? Never. I think every religion teaches tolerance. Every religion teaches how to make people happy, how to govern them, how to rule them. This is the law of every religion.
Right.
We are all same blood. We are all same skin.
We all
are
agree
just
with
divided
you.
into religion, caste, creed.
We all
But
agree
when
with
it
you,
comes
sir.
to
No doubt
humanity,
about
it's the
this.
biggest
Okay,
religion,
now
my
that
dear.
you've finished
My
your
dear Rahul, it is
long...
the biggest religion.
Now
and-
that you've told
and
us
Uddhav
why you
Thackeray
made the
has
switch,
proved himself.
let me tell you,
Uddhav
since
Sahib
you
has proven
invoked...
himself.
Okay, Mr. Supariwala, 30 seconds up. Now, you invoked Bal Thackeray. I haven't invoked him, and I just want to remind you, viewers, when they said that they made the switch from the BJP because the BJP did not promise or live up to their promise of rotating the chief ministership. Okay. So then they go and embrace the NCP and the Congress. Of course, they're not opportunists. But what did Bal Thackeray have to say about the NCP?
Of course not.
If BJP, he said, and this was in 1998, Bal Thackeray said, if BJP befriends Sharad Pawar, we will end the alliance. For him, Sharad Pawar was the poison ivy. We will end the alliance. We came into power by riding an anti-Pawar wave. Don't want power or Pawar. It's a party of principles. So if today Uddhav Thackeray is standing with Mr. Pawar, has he betrayed his father's legacy? That's a fundamental question. I leave it to you viewers to judge that. Those are Bal Thackeray's views. I want to bring in Mr. Anand Ranganathan, Dr. Ranganathan. What do you make of what the Shiv Sainik is saying today? Sajid Supariwala. And of course his boss, Uddhav Thackeray. No, it's okay. I'm now moving on, sir. It's okay. Let the public decide.
I need to say something.
1 second, Dr. Ranganathan. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Rahul, and good evening to all my fellow panelists. I hope you would give me a fraction of the time you have given to my good friend Mr. Supariwala, and I hope what I say would not be interrupted by him. Rahul, as they say, history repeats itself, first as a tragedy and then as a farce. What is unfolding before us today and yesterday is a total farce. But what happened 3 years ago was an absolute tragedy. I say this unequivocally, the Mahavikas Aghadi government never had the people's mandate, period. It was a government by convenience, for convenience, of convenience. And when you betray the people's mandate, it always ends up like this. Let me explain. We always knew the Shiv Sena was never good at chemistry. Now we know they are not good at maths as well.
Are you calling it unlawful?
You know,
Supariwala,
Rahul,
you never interrupted you. I'm lowering your fader, please.
Have you taken a supari to interrupt me?
Please. Let's not do this. Not fair. Please. Yes.
Please
Dr.
don't do it, yeah? Please. This is unfair. I was listening to you, to what you were saying, although it was painful to my ears for 10 minutes.
Well, let me
Mr.
tell you,
Supariwala,
Dr.
please,
Ranganathan.
let's maintain the decorum.
Dr. Ranganathan,
So
let me just
saying,
tell you very quickly that Mr. Shinde, Eknath Shinde, has just tweeted saying that we want to get out of this unnatural alliance. You were talking about convenience. Here it is. He's echoing you.
Yes. Yes. No, absolutely. And it would be another tragedy if Mr. Shinde were to accept Mr. Uddhav Thakray's offer that he become the chief minister. No, the problem is not who becomes the chief minister. The problem is this MVA never had the people's mandate. So let me explain now. I hope I would not be interrupted now. Rahul, is just a couple of minutes. You know, the BJP garnered 105 odd seats, the Shiv Sena 56, and the NCP Congress Alliance 98, and they wanted a Shiv Sena chief minister. The BJP has 26% vote share, Shiv Sena only 16. Crucially, it was a pre-poll alliance, not a post-poll one, like was the case in Karnataka recently when the Congress ceded the CM post to the JDS. Even though the former got more seats, there another difference, by the way. The JDS could have allied with the BJP, its pre-poll adversary, and so the Congress was scared. But here, what was Shiv Sena's game when it tried to curry favor with the NCP and therefore the NCP Congress alliance, its sworn adversary? If Bala Sahib were alive, I am sorry, he would have tweaked Mr. Supariwala's ears and dragged him to a corner and made him do a murga. I think it was a cataclysmic error on the BJP's part to have a seat sharing agreement with the Shiv Sena. A departure from 2014, by the way, Rahul, if you remember. This despite the fact that the only other party that abused Modi more than the Congress in the last 5 years was Shiv Sena. It cost the BJP 20 fewer seats and a perpetual threat of blackmail. They overestimate, I think, the anti-incumbency factor. They should have trusted Fadnavis more. He had done more than a decent job in his first term. Finally, a larger point. Post-poll alliances are immoral. I repeat, immoral, in that they ridicule the voter who voted against two adversaries getting together for the sake of opportunism. Sena asked for votes on the basis of ridiculing both Congress and the NCP. Same was the case with BJP, and the same was the case with JDS and Congress and BJP and JJP. They fight like cats and dogs and convince the voters that they are politically and ideologically polar opposites. And as soon as the results come in, the two poles get sucked towards each other to form the core. High time the Election Commission stepped in and banned pre-post poll alliances. Going forward, I think it is also high time the governor stepped in and slapped president's rule. Maharashtra must go in for fresh elections. There is no other option.
Okay. Let me bring in Yogi Gade. When a party can trade in its own legacy for power, as your own MLAs claim, not me. Eknath Shinde is tweeting right now, sir, and he is saying that this is an unnatural alliance. It's an unnatural front. I'm going to take a decision only in the interest of Maharashtra. Going back to the NCP, the Shiv Sena and the Congress will not be in the interest of Maharashtra. So, sir, can the people trust you when your own MLAs who are sitting in Guwahati today, out of your reach, because they think that even being in your presence will stigmatize them, when your own MLAs, sir, Yogi Saab, are rejecting you?
Yes, sir. Can I talk? Can you hear me?
How are you continuing to say that the people must trust you?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, Yogi Saab, please tell us.
Yes, sir. Yes.
आपके खुद रिजेक्ट कर रहे हैं आपको. Why should the public then trust you?
Yes, sir. I'm coming to that. And also what Dr. Anand Raganathan said. If you go to see, sir, we'll come back, not even 2014. I would like to take you back to 2019 February, when the alliance of Shiv Sena and BJP got back together. Amit Shah ji, Uddhav ji, Thackeray Sahib announced that Shiv Sena and BJP are coming back together for the Lok Sabha elections. There and there itself, Fadnavis sir, Uddhav ji, Thackeray Sahib and Amit Shah ji sir, they told ki it will be a 50-50 sharing formula, right? For Lok Sabha and for Vidhan Sabha, it will be 50-50. Lok Sabha happened that way. Then Vidhan Sabha came, they put pressure. Okay, that time Shiv Sena came back to 121 or 123 seats. And after that, what Mr. Anand said, I would like to tell that also ki unholy alliance. Okay, before Shiv Sena went with NCP and Congress, it was Mr. Fadnavis ji and Ajit Pawar ji who took oath together as Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra. After that, Shiv Sena went. So, listen, that time.
Did I not
when
say,
BJP does it, it is justified.
Yogi, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Let me talk, please, sir. I didn't interrupt when you were talking. I didn't interrupt.
I'm sorry. Please don't put words in my mouth. No, because you are taking my name, sir. I didn't take your name. Yes, I am interrupting, sir, just for 10 seconds because you took my name, Mr. Yogi, please. And I am interrupting only for telling you that since yesterday, you can check up. On the same program, I castigated BJP more. I reminded them that on what basis I was not there yesterday on the channel. When at 3 a.m. in the morning, they took the oath of Chief Minister. But even today you heard me, I said even BJP, did.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so please
I'm coming back to that.
Yes,
sir. Yes, sir.
Please see.
No, but Mr. Gade.
Please
sir, just one minute. That was what I'm saying. So when BJP goes.
No, 1 second. I'm reading out what Mr. Bal Thackeray told. 1 second. In 1998. Forget the BJP. The BJP even tied up with the PDP. When they tied up with the PDP, sir, even then you did not snap ties with the BJP. You remember that? You traded in. You keep abusing the BJP for doing the deal with the PDP, but you didn't snap ties. You were in government at that time also with the BJP in Maharashtra when they tied up with the PDP. So quite clearly, when the BJP also does things which you don't agree, you keep quiet because what is it that you love most? You love power most. Okay? So let's not fool people. Now I want to come back to what Bal Thackeray said. Okay, BJP tied up with a breakaway element of the NCP led by Ajit Pawar. You didn't think that was good? But your own Bal Thackeray, sir, said that Pawar is not someone we want to ever do business with. What are you doing with Mr. Pawar? Today, your own chief minister said in his press conference, I owe the fact that I became chief minister to Mr. Pawar. He convinced me.
Okay, sir, I'm just getting back to your point.
No, so was Balasaheb Thackeray wrong about Mr. Pawar? Simple question. Was he wrong? 1998 May, Bala Sahib did not recognize the merits of Mr. Pawar. Is that what you're saying?
If you let me answer, I will answer, sir. I'm coming to the answer only, sir. Hello?
हाँ बोलिए ना sir. I'm waiting for the answer.
Sir. See, if you go by all these instances, all political parties say something 10, 20 years back. Something happens later on.
So Bal Thackeray would just say things.
1 minute.
Even then, because he was also an opportunist.
Let me finish the point,
sir. Why are you, sir? No, Mr. Bal Thackeray is not here to defend his fair name.
Sir,
Gade Saab is not here to defend his fair name. You are today calling Bal Thackeray also an opportunist. कि वो बोल देते थे, कुछ भी बोल देते थे, 20 साल पहले लोग बोल देते थे कुछ भी. Sir,
no, I'm not saying
कुछ
that.
तो लिहाज करिए.
Other political parties, sir. I'm telling
the man founded your party. The man made it a party.
Then I can finish my point, sir. If you interrupt, how will I be able to tell my point?
Well, Yogi साहब, आपने जो बोला अभी बोला, सबने सुना.
I'm saying you this only, sir. कि if you go to see by all this, Mr. Fadnavis ji had told in 2014-15, I will never, ever go with NCP.
Yeah, okay. So Mr. Fadnavis is not true to his word, but that doesn't mean that the Shiv Sena lowers its principles also. Why did you sacrifice your principles?
And if you go to see,
अरे वो आप बीजेपी की बात कर रहे हैं, बीजेपी को तो सरकार में लाया नहीं ना. BJP is not in government right now. You came to power. Why did you compromise on your principles? That's the question that Dr. Ranganathan is asking you. That's the question I'm asking you.
I'm telling you that only, sir. Ki if you go to see what happened in Bihar also, ki there Mr. Nitish's party got less MLAs than BJP.
It doesn't matter. Gade Saab,
but in Maharashtra,
were you so interested in taking the chief minister's position that you even embraced Mr. Pawar? Just say yes or no. उन्होंने आपको बोला कि आप चीफ मिनिस्टर बन सकते हो, तो आपने उनको जप्फी मार दी, isn't it, गदे साहब?
So what you are getting on into is like. If
okay,
you go
look,
to see,
there is a problem here, viewers. The problem is that Yogi Gade and Supariwala are both saying because the BJP did something wrong, that allows us to also do something wrong against the principles of Balasaheb Thackeray. Gade Saab has gone forward and further, and he has said, no, 1 second, he has said, I don't want people speaking over me, sir. 1 minute. He, in fact, Mr. Gade has come out and said very clearly, Bal Thackeray said something 20 years ago, who cares? This is precisely the reason why Mr. Shinde has a problem. This is precisely why he is fracturing the Shiv Sena today, viewers. That's the real story. I want to bring in senior editor of Swarajya, Tushar Gupta. Mr. Gupta, how do you respond? Political analyst Ms. Sujata Pandey is there, Tehseen Poonawala is also there with us. Yes.
Rahul, what the people of Maharashtra confused as a Jadoo ki Jappi between the NCP, the Congress and the Shiv Sena was indeed a marriage of convenience, as Dr. Ranganathan correctly points out, driven by the lust for power and greed. Mr. Supariwala here says that Uddhav Thackeray is not greedy. 3 emergency meetings since yesterday, not even 20 MLAs have turned up. Take the higher moral ground, resign. You never had the moral right to rule, the moral right to govern. It was BJP that backed you the seats. Alone, Uddhav Thackeray would not have been able to get 50 seats in the election that went in 2019. Where is the resignation? Where is the moral high ground? So let's not kid ourselves by saying that the Thackeray's do not have the lust for power. They very clearly have. That is what resulted in the first place in this unholy marriage of convenience. The second point, he says 35 MLAs are not enough to take down the government to decide what the Mahavikas Aghadi would do. Sir, 35 MLAs and another 2 MLAs is the difference between your party being in power and not being in power. Your entire government is so fragile that all it took was 35 MLAs in a majority figure of 143 to put your government in jeopardy. What are you talking about? Are you not waking up and smelling the coffee? There are no MLAs with Uddhav Thackeray right now. The third thing he says is Shiv Sena is tolerant. Tell me, Rahul, which tolerant government puts an actress behind the bars for 40 days for commenting on one of the leaders of the government? Which government does that? Which government jails ministers and politicians for reciting the Hanuman Chalisa? What kind of Hindutva is this in Maharashtra where people do not have the freedom to recite the Hanuman Chalisa? And the point number 4, Sanjay Raut, who probably thought of himself as a Chanakya back in 2019, where is he right now? Probably it is him who has triggered the entire downfall of the Mahavikas Aghadi. What do we do about that? Has the Shiv Sena overplayed its hand? That's the final question. And lastly, to sum it all up, they are evoking the memory of Balasaheb Thackerayji at every given opportunity. All I want is Mr. Supariwala to ask this question to himself honestly. If Balasaheb fortunately was alive today, if he was alive today to witness all this, would he agree to this unholy alliance for even a second? Would he want Uddhav Thackeray to continue as the Chief Minister of Maharashtra for even 1 second? Just ask that question to yourself. Don't answer us. Ask yourself that question. Answer your cadre. Answer the people in Maharashtra who believe in the Shiv Sena, who continue to believe in the Shiv Sena, that if fortunately, if Balasaheb Thackerayji was amongst us today, would he agree to this alliance?
Mr.
Would he allow for this?
Supariwala, please respond.
Ask you. Yeah, Balasaheb Thackeray was always after the interest of Maharashtra. His some unlikeness or some differences with people wasn't more important than Maharashtra. He would definitely
is this fragile government in the interest of Maharashtra?
And to save Maharashtra, to save the state. If you're asking me a question, my dear, let me complete. No, I heard everything you said. Can I continue? Can I continue?
Just answer a simple question, sir. Is this government in the interest of Maharashtra? We saw what happened during the pandemic. Is this government in the interest of Maharashtra? An alliance where no party has even 60 seats. How is it in the interest of Maharashtra? An alliance which was not voted to govern. How is it in the interest of Maharashtra? How can you claim that this government is in the interest of Maharashtra when all it took was 35 MLAs in a majority figure of 143.
Well, look at this.
Bring it down.
Look at this. These MLAs.
35 MLAs.
1 second. Look at the pictures. Viewers, look at the pictures on your screens. 1 second. Mr. Supariwala and Mr. Gupta. Just look at the pictures on your screen. These are latest visuals coming from Guwahati. None of these MLAs have been moved by what Uddhav Thackeray has said today. They're all sitting there and they've decided to stay away from the Shiv Sena. No one is catching a flight to go back to Mumbai to present themselves before Uddhav Thackeray. He has no claim over them, no moral authority over them. He has no authority over them. That tells you where the situation is. Even if this government survives, it will be so rickety, viewers, that it will not be focusing on its job. It will be focusing on survival, not serving India or Indians. And that is worrying, because we are talking about a state that is instrumental, and I've showed you the figures.
Can I say something?
Instrumental in propping up India's growth story.
Can I say something, Rahul?
You please answer,
Rahul, I'm not
Mr.
cutting you,
Gupta.
I'm just replying
Please
to the
answer, Mr.
query of
Gupta.
yours, if I
Answer,
can.
Mr. Gupta, please.
Who, me?
Yes, sir. You want to answer? Answer, Mr. Gupta. He asked you 3 questions. We are still awaiting your response.
Yeah.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, I forgot the question. You brought up these pictures. Should I answer to this first?
No, just answer one simple question. Would Balasaheb Thackerayji, if he was fortunately alive today, agree to this alliance, agree to this fragility of the government which you call is in the interest of Maharashtra?
I answered the question. I'm again repeating my answer. My answer is that Mr. Balasaheb Thackeray, Shri Balasaheb Thackeray, would have definitely been first keeping the differences aside and see to the interest of Maharashtra. You cannot this is just a hyperbolic statement by you that would he have. Actually, he's not here right now, but in soul, he's there with us. In Uddhav Sahib, he's there with us. In Aditya Sahib, he's there with us. And Uddhav Sahib is already doing that. So
Then
your
why is
question
no one
is
responding
invalid.
to the call
We
of
are doing
Uddhav
this
Thackeray?
just for the people of
Then why is no
Maharashtra and for the
MLA
state
responding to the
and
call
for
of
the
Uddhav
country.
Thackeray?
And for the
Three
country.
different emergency meetings since yesterday.
Let
Why is
the
no one
35
responding to
MLAs,
the call?
Dr. Ranganathan,
35 MLAs cannot change the principle of
Dr.
Bala Saheb
Ranganathan
Thackeray.
is pointing to the screen. Yes.
What
is it that you have, Doctor?
Mr. Rahul, 35
Yes.
MLAs will not decide.
Yes.
35
Well, plainly
MLAs
they
will
are,
not
sir.
decide the
Uddhav
principle
Thackeray is
of
giving him
Bala
the chief
Saheb Thackeray.
ministership, so
Mr.
obviously they
Uddhav
are
Saheb
deciding
Thackeray
something
and
anyhow.
Mr. Aditya
Dr.
Saheb
Ranganathan, yes.
1 minute. I'm coming to it.
You are unwilling to accept.
No, he's
the
already
fragility
told
and the
you.
weakness
He's
of
told
the
you.
government.
Dr. Gupta,
Your
why
CM
are
has
you? No,
come
no,
on
Dr. Gupta,
television
one
and said
second.
he's
Tushar
willing to
Gupta.
resign.
Tushar Gupta, he's told you to your face that Bala Saheb Thackeray would have sacrificed his principles to put Maharashtra first. And he believes that this coalition,
principles.
whether it
Differences.
is,
There's a
whether
difference
it
in
is,
principles
whether
and
it is,
differences.
sir, he's talked about
I'm talking about
principles.
differences.
It's a party principle. These are his words, not mine. I am quoting him.
I'm talking about differences with the people.
Why
To
is
save
Uddhav
Maharashtra.
Thackeray unable to
Dr.
resolve the differences
Dr.
between
Ranganathan.
the
To save
faction that has
Maharashtra.
swung away
To
from
save
him?
Maharashtra
Clearly,
from
because
going
they've
in
lost
wrong
faith in
hands.
him. Yes,
To
Dr.
save
Ranganathan.
Maharashtra.
Dr. Ranganathan, yes.
To save.
You want to save
One minute, let him
Maharashtra, you
come
can't
in. Okay,
even
Mr.
save your
Gupta,
own
1
party.
minute. Mr. Gupta, 1 second. Let Dr. Ranganathan come in. He's pointing to something. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Just very quickly, a couple of points. Rahul, one, as is very evident right now, both Mr. Sajid and Mr. Yogi are not going to accept the fact that this is not the Shiv Sena of Bala Saheb Thackeray. It's fine. It's all right if they don't accept it. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. It's in front of us. Let me give you another stark example. Today or last week, Shiv Sena took the support of AIMIM for Rajya Sabha membership. You remember that, right? Let me quote
Never.
what Shiv Sena said under Bala Saheb Thackeray.
Where is it?
Sajid Bhai, did you not take the support of AIMIM for the Rajya Sabha elections? Did you not?
Where? You tell me
The
now.
AIMIM spokesperson tweeted
When?
that he is
Do you know?
supporting.
Do you have the facts with you?
This is a problem, viewers. This is a problem.
Do you have the facts with you?
You see,
and
this
if
is a
somebody is
problem.
supporting somebody, the BJP has
No,
taken the
aapke-
support of Mehbooba Mufti
Yes,
to
I
form
have
a
the
government in
fact.
Kashmir. Why don't you question
So
your
it
BJP?
doesn't make it-
Why
no,
you
sir,
questioning
that
only
doesn't-
Shiv Sena?
that is not-
Why the BJP? Why they
Rahul,
took a
And
support
yet
of
the BJP
Why
cannot
don't they
take
take the
bigger
support of
question.
Mehbooba
Can the
Mufti?
No, one
same be
second.
said about the Shiv Sena?
1 second.
You
Dr.
know.
Ranganathan, yes, you were making a point. Let him ask the question. Yes,
Why
okay,
did-
Dr. Ranganathan. make your
Was
point.
BJP so desperate to rule?
Yes.
That they took a support of Nitish Kumar
So are
also?
you saying you were
And now
desperate
they
to rule?
took a
So
support
are
of
you
Kashmir
admitting,
with
Mr.
Mehbooba
Supariwala,
Mufti?
you were desperate to rule?
You are talking about that?
Indirect admission that you
BJP
were
is more
desperate to
desperate
rule.
than what you are.
Are you telling us that you were desperate to rule?
Yes,
Are you
he's
telling
saying
us
so.
that Shiv Sena was
He's saying
desperate
so.
to
That's
rule?
why he
We
keeps...
are powerful without being in power also.
Yes,
You are
Mr.
not
Subhai,
powerful
one second,
without
one
30
second.
odd MLAs, sir. What are
One
you
second,
talking
one
about
second,
being
one
powerful
second, one
without
second,
being in
just one
power?
second. Okay, Dr. Ranganathan, you were making a
35
larger
MLAs
point.
will
Let's
not
get to the
decide
larger
future
point.
of
Yes, Dr.
Maharashtra
Ranganathan,
or
silence
Shiv
everybody.
Sena.
Yes.
Those 35 MLAs will not decide
Yes,
the future of
Dr.
Shiv Sena.
Ranganathan. Go ahead. Make your point.
Sajid Bhai, yes, thank you. So I was about to say, before I was interrupted by Sajid Bhai, that today Shiv Sena is taking support from AIMIM. This is what it said about AIMIM, and I'm quoting it. AIMIM is a demon. The green color of Pakistan's flag has filled up the minds of the Owaisi brothers. Asududdin Owaisi should be beheaded for refusing to chant Bharat Mata ki Jai. ये शिवसेना थी और आज शिवसेना है जो कि एआईएम से सपोर्ट ले रही है. सो अगर साजिद भाई और योगी भाई माने या ना माने कि ये सेम है, ये बाला साहेब की शिवसेना है, द प्रूफ इज इन फ्रंट ऑफ अस. लेट देम से दिस इन जस्ट 30 seconds because I am constantly interrupted. I am constantly interrupted. He won't allow me to.
That is the B
He has
team.
taken a supari to interrupt me.
That is the B team of BJP.
You know, Sajid bhai, I think you've taken a supari.
It's not that you're talking nonsense things. You're talking which is really irrelevant here. You're talking which is irrelevant here. It is not relevant only.
यार सुन लो.
It is not relevant only.
Irrelevant, nonsense, सब बोल दो. आ जाओ हेयर कट भी करा लो मेरा. आ जाओ हेयर कट भी करा लो.
It is nonsense only यार.
आपको चाय पिलाऊंगा.
What are you talking about?
कर देना. सुन लो बात यार. Okay.
My Sahib has himself said that. I'll quote my Sahib. I'll quote my Sahib. Shall I quote my Sahib?
Yes, your Sahib, first of all, what is this? My Sahib, you're an educated man. This is execrable. What kind of language is this? My Sahib, please refrain from this.
I am an educated man. That's why only he's saying. He's my boss.
Okay.
I'm proud
Mr.
to be his
Supariwala, I'm lowering your fader now. You're not allowing anyone else to speak. Lower his fader.
Yes.
He's an exuberant young man. It's okay. You know, the passions are running high. He's being forced into a corner. There is one contradiction after contradiction that is slapping him across his understanding of his own party, and I can understand why he's losing it. But it's okay. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
No, yes. Very quickly. No, absolutely. I am a fan of Sajid Bhai. You know, when people say he gives sound advice, what they actually mean is he gives 99% sound and 1% advice, but that doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is, Rahul, we should be thankful. We should be thankful to Rajiv Gandhi for bringing, or Shiv Sena should be thankful to Rajiv Gandhi for bringing in the anti-defection law. If that wasn't there, this government wouldn't have existed.
True.
For years.
Now just to say,
the Shiv Sena MLA know कि भाई हमें 37 लोग चाहिए.
Just to say,
37 जब तक नहीं आएंगे, तब तक ये government नहीं गिरेगी.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, Dr. Ranganathan, here is the confirmation of what you were saying.
Must bring in,
here's a confirmation. Imtiaz Jalil tweeted at 5:08 a.m. June 10th, 2022, to defeat BJP, our party AIMM National has decided to vote for Maha Vikas Aghadi in the Rajya Sabha elections in Maharashtra. Our political ideological differences, however, will continue with the Shiv Sena, which is a partner in MVA, along with INC India and MHA Speaks _NCP. This is Imtiaz Jalil. No one came and said, no, thank you. We don't want your support. No one said it. Because viewers, this is no longer the party of Bal Thackeray. That's the point that Mr. Shinde is making. Tehseen Poonawalla and Sujata Pandey. Tehseen Poonawalla, here it is. Do you believe today Uddhav Thackeray has done the right thing? Has done the right thing by signing a MOU with you, in which you have made it very clear that strident Hindutva issues will not be on your agenda. Do you think it was the right thing to do, Tehseen Poonawalla?
Good evening, Rahul. I'm grateful that you gave me an opportunity. Good evening to all my fellow panelists and good evening to all your viewers. I have just two very quick points to make. Point number one, I'm surprised and aghast that nobody is discussing Nitin Deshmukh and Kailash Patil, the two MLAs who have escaped and come back, with Nitin Deshmukh saying how there's a threat to his life. I was forcefully kidnapped. He was asked to say that he got a cardiac arrest, heart attack, and 400, 500 policemen chasing MLAs. So these visuals that you're showing could all be made up. I mean, first of all, these don't look like 35. There are 8, 9 MLAs. I don't believe there are 35 MLAs. As the Honorable Supreme Court said, the test can only happen on the floor of the House. Why don't they call a no confidence motion? Because they don't have the numbers except for a paper that they've made out. You will remember Devendra Fadnavis had made up that paper in his early morning drama. They don't have the numbers. Uddhav Thackeray and the MBA have a majority. Yet the quality of difference between Mr. Uddhav Thackeray and Devendra Fadnavis is this. Devendra Fadnavis says on the floor of the House, he said in Marathi, I'm translating in English, I am like the waves of the sea, I shall come back. He's desperate to be chief minister. And Uddhav Thackeray today says that I don't even want to be chief minister, come become chief minister. My question to the rebels is, to Eknath Shinde, is you are number 2 in the cabinet in the Shiv Sena rank only after Uddhav Thackeray ji. What is the guarantee today that if you form your own party, you don't have the numbers, but if you hypothetically form your own party, Fadnavis and BJP will allow you to be chief minister, allow Shiv Sena to be chief minister? Is this fulfilling the dreams of Bal Thackeray? And you talk about late Bal Thackeray, the late Bal Thackeray who stood for United Maharashtra. Devendra Fadnavis is on record saying that he wanted to break up with her from Maharashtra. He's fought an election to break up with us from Maharashtra. They want to break up Maharashtra. They want to impose Hindi on Maharashtra. They want to make Mumbai a union territory. This fight is about saving the soul of Maharashtra, a united Maharashtra, and we will fight for it.
Can I ask you a small question? Can I ask you a small question, Mr. Poonawalla? It's an important one. Do you believe that Veer Savarkar should be given the Bharat Ratna?
Sir, I believe that Savarkar's contribution should be acknowledged. Whether you agree or disagree with his contribution,
I'm asking
it
you,
should be
do you
acknowledged.
agree with Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party stand that said that the Bharat Ratna cannot be given to a coward like Veer Savarkar? Do you agree, yes or no? Just simple question.
It is the Congress party that removed the stamp for Savarkar. Congress party in Indira ji acknowledged him. His contribution should be looked at. Whether the
No, one second. Tehseen Poonawala, do you support Rahul Gandhi's point of view on this? It's a simple question. Do you
Is
support?
Rahul Gandhi the Prime Minister? Is Uddhav
I'm
Thackeray
asking you,
Prime
he's the
Minister?
leader of the
He should give it.
Congress party, he's an influential
But-
leader of the Congress party.
But he can't give the Bharat Ratna.
I'm only
He should give
asking
it.
you,
Why does
I'm
Modi
only
not give
asking
it?
you, do you support in principle three statements that he has made about Veer Savarkar? Number one, Veer Savarkar was the divider of India, divider in chief he called him. I have his tweet. Number two, Veer Savarkar is a coward. Number three, that we oppose any move to give Veer Savarkar the Bharat Ratna. Just three aspects. Do you agree with any of these statements?
I think the Prime Minister agrees with it, therefore he's not giving him the Bharat
Yes,
Ratna.
yes or
I
no?
think Mr.
Don't
Modi
dodge the
agrees with
question.
Rahul
Okay.
Gandhi.
Don't dodge the
I think
question.
Mr.
Now,
Modi
viewers,
agrees.
the reason I brought this up, and I believe that Sujata Pandey will back me up on this. Sujata Pandey, if I'm not mistaken, what did Mr. Bal Thackeray have to say about Veer Savarkar?
That he was a nationalist, that he was a true nationalist. But Rahul, the larger question here that we are debating is, and one of the points that I would like to really mention and bring here, it doesn't matter whether this government rules or that government rules, whether Uddhav Thackeray becomes the chief or remains the chief minister or goes. But what matters today? What matters is that the breach of trust of people should not, the trust of the people, the voters of Maharashtra shouldn't be made a mockery. It matters when you take vote on name of something else and you do a post-poll alliance just for the greed of power. It matters when you say that you are a Hindu party, you are a Hindutva party, and you keep quiet on Palghar lynching. You absolutely keep quiet. You send people to jail for asking what has happened on it. It matters, Rahul, when you talk about that you
Sanjay
are a
Raut
very
speaking.
tolerant party.
Sujata Pandey, Sanjay Raut speaking. Let's listen in once. Yes.
मंत्री आता वर्षा बंगल्यातून मातोश्रीवर राहण्यासाठी निघालेले आहेत. मोह माया सत्ता याचा आम्हाला अजिबात लोभ नाही. आम्ही लढणारे लोक आहोत. आम्ही लढत राहू आणि शेवटी सत्याचा विजय होईल अशा प्रकारची भूमिका आहे. दोन्ही पक्षाच्या प्रमुख नेत्यांनी येऊन महाविकास आघाडीला आणि उद्धव ठाकरे यांच्या संदर्भात ज्या सद्भावना व्यक्त केल्या, मग शरद पवार साहेब असतील, नाना पटोले असतील, अशोकराव चव्हाण असतील, बाळासाहेब थोरात असतील, सकाळी कमलनाथजी होते, आम्ही त्यांचे आभारी आहोत. कारण काय आहे? असं आहे की काही लोकांना वाटत असेल, त्यांनी आपल्या निवेदनात सांगितलेलं आहे की ते मातोश्रीवरती का राहायला चाललेले आहे. मातोश्री हे मूळ स्थान आहे शिवसेना प्रमुखांचं आणि शिवसेनेचं नहीं. ऐसी कोई बात नहीं हो गई है. मैं आपको बताता हूँ, ये आप गलत न्यूज चला रहे हो. पण मुख्यमंत्री उद्धव ठाकरे जी है और रहेंगे. फ्लोर ऑफ द हाउस पर अगर मौका मिला तो हम बहुमत सिद्ध करके दिखाएंगे.
जर सरकार वाचवायचं असेल,
माननीय पवार साहेबांनी असा कोणताही सल्ला दिला नाही. किंबहुना ही लढाई आपण शेवटपर्यंत लढायची अशा प्रकारचं भूमिका माननीय शरद पवार साहेबांनी घेतलेली आहे.
Sanjay Raut coming out. He's of course the closest advisor to the Thackeray clan, and he's come out and said very clearly that Uddhav Thackeray has moved out of Varsha, which is the chief minister's official residence, and has moved into Matoshri. He's also come out and said that they're going to fight right till the end, and when the opportunity presents itself, if it presents itself, they will prove the majority on the floor of the House. Third, most importantly, that we have no lust for power. We are ready to sacrifice anything for our principles. And number four, never offered Shinde the chief minister's post. This is fake news. 4 basic points made by Sanjay Raut. But even as he's making those points, viewers, visual evidence of more Shiv Sena MLAs fleeing the coup and landing up in Guwahati. Those are the live pictures coming from Guwahati. I want to bring in Nibir right now in Guwahati. Nibir, the numbers now swelling. The rebel faction is growing every minute. Nibir. Okay, we've lost him right now, but viewers, he's reporting out of Guwahati, that hotel where all the MLAs who have deserted Uddhav Thackeray are holed up. And those pictures are on your screens. We're going to show you the pictures of those MLAs sitting there, enjoying their evening, holding confabulations, and more entering the resort. Nibir, what can you tell us? 4 more, what's the number now?
Yeah, at least 3 to 4 people, 4 MLAs have entered here at the Radisson Hotel in Guwahati. We are in front of the hotel. The MLAs arrived here at about 9:15 p.m. in the Guwahati airport, and they straight away went inside the Radisson Blue Hotel here. So that increases the number of MLAs. Earlier it was estimated 35 MLAs, and now 4 more have added in the Shinde camp. So the show of strength has increased with the 4 MLAs that have entered the Radisson Blue Hotel here in Guwahati.
Okay. So let me very quickly in summation, viewers, it is no longer Mr. Supariwala, Mr. Gade and Mr. Poonawala. It is no longer about convincing the people or the panelists here. It is now about convincing your own MLAs who are deserting you because they have lost faith in Uddhav Thackeray's leadership. The moot question, therefore, then to consider, viewers, if the Shiv Sena's own MLAs don't have faith in Uddhav Thackeray's leadership, can the public, therefore, be expected to trust his leadership? That's the moot question. Ms. Pandey, I'm sorry I couldn't come to you for a longer period of time. We will make it up to you in next few debates. This is not a story that's going off the air very quickly. Sujata Pandey, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Let's get you breaking news coming in from Maharashtra now. Even as the crisis looms there for the Shiv Sena, there is a massive show of strength that is taking place. Pro Sena chants are greeting Uddhav Thackeray. Listen in.
Rahul, and good evening to all my esteemed panelists. Tanveer Bhai is a very dear friend and I hope he won't interrupt.
The Shiv Sena, they're camping there under the leadership of Eknath Shinde, and getting in a bit of breaking news update, the TMC has now said that the BJP has always played cross bat. So that's another reaction, an allegation coming in from the TMC, just as has been said by the Congress and the Shiv Sena as well in the past. We have Kirti Azad joining us on the phone line. Mr. Azad, what do you make of this allegation coming in from the TMC this time around, saying that the BJP has always played cross bat?
Well, what did they do in Madhya Pradesh?
But isn't it really directly related to, you know, the particular government's concern not being able to keep their flock together? BJP will use this as an opportunity, yes, if the Mahavikas Aghadi is unable to keep matters in their hands.
Correct. Money, ED, IT, NSA, they all can be used to BJP's advantage.
And how is that, Mr. Azad?
Haven't we seen it?
No, in this particular case, how is it that any of the agencies is being put to use as you're alleging?
Well, haven't you seen what has happened in the past? A few months ago? On the various leaders, and every time they can't convict anybody. You've seen approximately more than 3,000 cases by ED have been framed on lots of people.
So, Mr. Azad, are you implying that all of these MLAs have decided to part ways under some sort of pressure?
Well, it's quite evident. It's very evident. What happened in Madhya Pradesh? Can you tell me that? Didn't they try the best in Bengal? Didn't they try the best in Rajasthan? Rajasthan, they almost had them.
Well, all parties involved, including the Congress and the Shiv Sena, currently in damage control mode, Mr. Azad. Let's see how this plays out. Too soon to really come to any sort of conclusions. I'll have to leave it at that. Thank you for joining us with that perspective. Let me go across to my colleague Vaishali, who's joining us from Surat. Vaishali, क्या जानकारी दे सकते हैं? कितने विधायक अंदर होटल में हैं? हमें क्या कंफर्म्ड है कि सारे शिवसेना के हैं?
जी बिल्कुल, जैसा आप देख रहे हैं, सवेरे कल रात से ही वो लोग यहाँ एयरपोर्ट पास की एक होटल में रुके हैं कल रात से ही, और आज सवेरे से ही सूरत के आप जो भी है मीडिया जगत के सारे लोग वहां पे पहुंचे हैं, और वहां पे जो जानकारी हम लोगों को अभी तक मिली है तो उसमें यही है कि ये जो सारे विधायक हैं वो 22 जो विधायक है वो सारे ही शिवसेना से जुड़े हुए हैं, और उनके नाम का लिस्ट भी जैसे मैं आपको भेज चुकी हूँ। मतलब वो कहा जा सकता है कि वो सारे शिवसेना से ही जुड़े हुए हैं।
Two Sena and Netas are now being dispatched to get in touch with the roughly 30 rebel MLAs. Meanwhile, even as we speak, the chief of NCP, Sharad Pawar, along with his chief lieutenants, are there holding a press conference. We'll get to hear what the status of
Ladies and gentlemen, the crisis in Maharashtra is keeping the country on its toes. Well, at least us journalists and the political pundits in this country are. As of course are the MLAs, going from one side to the other, and emissaries going from one side to the other. There is a tectonic shift happening in Maharashtra, and seems like Eknath Shinde has the edge for now. An acceptance of that came from the Chief Minister too, when he said, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritties of numbers. Perhaps because only 16 out of his total 55 MLAs are with him now, and that number is dwindling more than showing any signs of increasing. But for now, the Chief Minister is putting up a brave face and says he will not give in to any of these tricks and only give up his chair if Eknath Shinde and the rebels come speak to him face to face and then tell him and he will quit and make anybody else the chief minister, but only when they meet him face to face. Listen in to Uddhav Thackeray.
कारण का तरी शिवसेना बाळासाहेबांची शिवसेना राहिली नाही असं काही जे आरोप करतायत त्याला सुद्धा माझ्याकडे उत्तर आहे. ज्या शिवसैनिकांना असं वाटत असेल की मी शिवसेनेचं नेतृत्व करायला नालायक आहे, चला मला सांगा, मी हेही पद सोडायला तयार आहे. मी शिवसेना पक्षप्रमुख पद पण सोडायला तयार आहे, पण हे सांगणारा विरोधक नाही. नाहीतर असे फडतूस लोक खूप आहेत, त्यांच्या सांगण्याबद्दल किंवा त्यांच्या त्या काय ते ट्रेंडिंग ट्रोलिंग ट्विटर फिटर ह्याच्यासाठी मी काय त्यांना मी बांधलेलं नाहीये, मी माझ्या शिवसैनिकाला बांधलेलं आहे. आणि शिवसैनिक सुद्धा या भानगडीत पडणारा नाहीये, कारण तो फेस टू फेस संकटाला सामोरं जाणारा शिवसैनिक आहे. म्हणून त्यांनी सांगावं, मी दोन्ही पदं सोडायला तयार आहे, पण मी मुख्यमंत्रीपद सोडल्यानंतर जर शिवसेनेचा मुख्यमंत्री होत असेल, मला आनंदाने मान्य आहे.
Now Eknath Shinde is confident of the numbers he has. 34 for now is what he says, and let me show these numbers to you right here on the screen. The signatories on a letter submitted by Eknath Shinde had 34 signatures on them. 34 and 3 of the MLAs have just made an entry into the Radisson Hotel in Guwahati. Now 34 plus 3 is equal to 37, and 37 is the magic number as far as the anti-defection law is concerned. This is the number which will be extremely important if Eknath Shinde has to get these votes in place on the floor of the House. Now, out of these 34, what happens is that there are contests that are being made about whether each of these 34, whether they are Shiv Sena MLAs, yes or no. Well, at least 4 of these have been found out to be 3 MLAs and 1 from a party that is alliance partner of the Shiv Sena called Prahar Party. Now, if these 4 are reduced, then Eknath Shinde has 30 and 3 new who have joined him come down to about 33, which is still 4 away from this magic number to avoid the anti-defection law. So it is the number game, whether it is 37 as claimed by Eknath Shinde or 33, but the fact of the matter is that 33 already there, even if you take the lower estimate, and if you add to this at least 3 or 4 members of the Legislative Assembly who told Deepak Kesrekar, who is another MLA, and 5 of them had a sitting yesterday and they were ready to be with Eknath Shinde. So if 3 or 4 of those are also available, then safely Eknath Shinde crosses the 37 mark, and that's the number. But question is, the 3 who have come in, some say these are also independents. There was 5 people who went in, but 3 of them are MLAs, 1 is an MLA's wife, and the 5th person we still don't know which political party they belong to. So it's all happening, the seesaw of numbers. But if you look at the ultimatum given by Uddhav Thackeray at 5 p.m, he said that he will disqualify all those who did not come back and meet him. Well, no disqualification has happened, but an emotional appeal was made, and only 16 people officially counted by Shiv Sena of Uddhav Thackeray. Well, the writing is on the wall, and this shows how the numbers are stacked. Certainly, Uddhav Thackeray has lesser numbers than Eknath Shinde, whichever way these numbers are going. That seems to be, at the moment, the number game in Maharashtra. And there are scenarios, or what can happen in this. We are standing by for Eknath Shinde to address a news conference to reveal his cards, but just a short while ago he took to Twitter and this is what he had to say. Well, on Twitter, he clearly said that, he had the numbers and the decisions to be taken now would be in the interest of Maharashtra. Clearly an unnatural alliance on the Hindutva plank really failing for Uddhav Thackeray. But ladies and gentlemen, let me also tell you the three scenarios that are possible from now. We've shown you the numbers if these people come back and join Uddhav Thackeray, which is unlikely. Scenario number 2, Shinde manages to get 37 MLAs and that crosses the anti-defection mark, and the BJP and Shiv Sena get together and form the government, or of course we see some more horse trading that begins to happen on the floor of the house if this number is not settled. So the legitimate question that we are asking on the Newshour tonight, is this a stalemate or is it going to be checkmate for Uddhav? That's the question and the debate on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9, debate number 1, on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me on the debate tonight, Smita Prakash, editor ANI, Suhail Seth, author and columnist, Subhrashta, author and founder of The Churn, Chandrasekhar Jha, leader of the Shiv Sena, Sanjay Jha, author, Acharya Pramod Krishnam, leader of the Congress party, with me in the studios tonight, Ravi Srivastava, political analyst. But my first question goes to Mr. Vijay Krishna, political analyst, supports the Shiv Sena. Vijay Krishna ji, straightforward, is the Shiv Sena and its government all but over in Maharashtra? That's the way it looks. What's taking time for the Shiv Sena to read the writing on the wall, even though Uddhav is moving out of his official residence at Varsha and moving to Matoshri even as we speak?
No, we are ready to accept whatever fate has reserved for us. So we are the architects of Shiv Sena, and basically I am also a Shiv Sainik, and our support goes to Uddhav Thackeray ji, whether he is the Chief Minister of Maharashtra or whether he is the first Shiv Sainik of Shiv Sena. We are with him, and we are not at all bothered about the political upheavals which has been taking place for the last 2 days because of the Willy BJP which wants to come back to power in Maharashtra. And we are saying that please do not provoke the tiger. If the tiger is injured and it will come back with a full force, please we can again go back to the people, and we can tell what BJP has been doing all across India, be it is Karnataka or Madhya Pradesh or Arunachal Pradesh or an attempted coup in Rajasthan.
The tiger stripes are not even being accepted by the tigers in your own party. The tigers sitting in Guwahati say that this is a fake tiger because the plank that Balasaheb Thackeray set up, which is anti-Congressism and the Hindutva plank, are both now no longer planks on which the Shiv Sena stands. And many of those say that for the last 1.5 years they've been trying to tell Mr. Uddhav Thackeray the problems in the party and how the party was being decimated, yet nobody was ready to hear them, not even meet them. Now today, to begin to blame the BJP, do you think it's too late? आपको तो ये भी नहीं पता चला that 40 of your MLAs or 36 of them had left and gone from Surat to Guwahati, and you're blaming the BJP for it? It's your government in Maharashtra.
So it shows that our leader trusts his fellow Shiv Sainiks. It was barely 25 people have betrayed our leader. We are not at all bothered. But more than 1 crore voters of Shiv Sena are with the Thackeray family. You have to know what leadership is. It's just because you have taken away 25 or 30 odd MLAs to Assam. One day you'll also take all the Shiv Sena MLAs to Kaziranga Park and place them along with rhinoceroses.
Are you really serious about that? तो rhinoceros के साथ हैं तो tiger तो नहीं रहे, तो आप वापस लेके भी क्या करेंगे? What will you do with them? even if they return, because you don't think they are tigers anymore. Well, Suhail said,
No.
Suhail said, has the Shiv Sena
This is because they're behaving like subalterns to BJP. We want only Shiv Sainik as Chief Minister of Maharashtra.
1 minute, Mr. Krishna. Suhail said, the Shiv Sena is blaming the BJP. Do you think the BJP should take the blame, or do you think their own house was not in order?
So I want to answer your question in two parts. You're a national channel. You have done yeoman work with various causes. I think insulting wildlife by calling people horse traders, rhinoceros, tigers, please don't insult animals. They are fine, majestic people. You know, to say these people are indulging in horse trading, you're insulting a horse.
Guilty as charged.
Number two.
Guilty as
charged. No, it's not only you. I mean, you're tigers. You should just remove animals from these people's purview. Now to Vijay's specific point. The business of maintaining a flock belongs to the herdsman. It belongs to the person whose party it is. You can't blame the BJP. I said this on Navika Kumar's program many years ago when this Khan market nonsense began, that it is not Narendra Modi's job to go to Khan market looking for an opposition. But, Navika, there are two things which we must consider. Prime Minister Modi, when he came to power, he said the power dangling of the past will no longer happen. Sadly, the BJP is using the same means that have been used in the past. So, it is only a version 2.0 of what was happening earlier. Number two, I don't think any party should indulge in this because it's not about Eknath Shinde. You are violating the sanctity of trust of the millions of voters who have voted a particular alliance or a particular party to power. You know, I mean, this is bizarre. Every 6 months, hotels get full for no rhyme or reason. People are flying up and down in private planes. MLAs say that they've been injected, God knows with what. I mean, this is a soap opera that never seems to stop. The anti-defection law is so weak and insipid. The Election Commission often is under the purview and the power of the ruling regime. Where does democracy go? So, Navika, the critical question that you need to ask is that do these MLAs have the right to throttle the vote, the sanctity of that vote that which they were elected by? That's the moot question. Eknath Shinde and all other people are symptomatic and emblematic of the malaise that afflicts our democracy today. And I would urge the Prime Minister, given his track record of transparency and governance, to not allow this and certainly not associate the BJP. Because then where are you a party with a difference? How can you say that I'm a party with a difference if this is what goes on right under your eye?
Absolutely, it's really a mockery of the mandate of democracy, and it does absolutely nothing for the people who actually vote for governments to stay on for 5 years. Fair point, Suhail said, but let me ask Acharya Pramod Krishnam. Pramod Krishnam ji, आपने तो आज कांग्रेस को ही मुश्किल में डाल दिया. आपने कह दिया है कि उद्धव ठाकरे जी को रिजाइन कर देना चाहिए, और अब मैं देख रही हूं एक ट्विटर वॉर सी चल रही है. ट्विटर वॉर में ये आपको कांग्रेस द्वारा कहा जा रहा है, और जयराम रमेश जी कह रहे हैं कि ये ऑफिशियल व्यू नहीं है कांग्रेस पार्टी का. तो कांग्रेस पार्टी का ऑफिशियल व्यू क्या है कि 44 के साथ सरकार बना लो, नंबर 4 के नंबर पे रहो पर सरकार बनवा लो. और धर्म युद्ध तो आजकल बात करना मुश्किल है क्योंकि ये तो कलयुग है. आचार्य जी, आपने क्यों लिखा ये कि उद्धव जी को इस वक्त रिजाइन करना चाहिए, क्योंकि सत्ता छोड़नी आसान नहीं होती?
देखिए नाविका जी, दो तरह की राजनीति होती है लोकतंत्र में. एक होती है इलेक्टोरल पॉलिटिक्स, जिसे हम चुनाव के द्वारा हम जाते हैं, गणित लगाते हैं, किसके एमएलए कितने आए, किसके एमपी कितने आए, और फिर हम उसकी सरकार बनाते हैं. एक राजनीति होती है पब्लिक परसेप्शन की, जिसको हम नैतिकता की राजनीति भी कहते हैं. तो मैंने अपनी राय बड़ी साफ तौर से ये दी कि जब शिवसेना के जो एमएलए हैं, जो शिवसेना के सिंबल पे चुन के आए, जो शिवसेना के झंडे पे चुनाव लड़े, जो बाला साहब ठाकरे का नाम लेकर के चल रहे हैं, और जो उद्धव ठाकरे जी के साथ थे, एकदम निकटस्थ व्यक्ति थे, वो उन्हें छोड़ करके चले गए. कांग्रेस पार्टी ने शिवसेना को नहीं छोड़ा है। कांग्रेस पार्टी का जो शिवसेना को समर्थन था वो पार्टी लाइन से हट गया था। कांग्रेस के बहुत से नेता ये उस समय इस बात के खिलाफ थे कि भाई एक मोस्ट कम्युनल पार्टी है शिवसेना और कांग्रेस पार्टी एक सेक्युलर पार्टी है, तो ये समर्थन क्यों दिया जाए, हम शिवसेना की सरकार क्यों बनाएं। फिर शिवसेना की अगर हम सरकार बना सकते हैं तो हम तो बीजेपी की सरकार ही बना सकते हैं, क्योंकि बीजेपी से हमारे जो डिफरेंसेज हैं कांग्रेस के वो एक सेकुलरिज्म और कम्युनलिज्म को लेके हैं। तो कम्युनलिज्म का अगर जहां तक हम तात्पर्य हम अगर इसको हम थोड़ा सा परिभाषित करें तो फिर तो शिवसेना बीजेपी से एक कदम आगे थी, लेकिन हमने फिर भी अपनी पार्टी लाइन को अलग करते हुए बीजेपी को रोकने के लिए शिवसेना की सरकार बनाई, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, अब हमारे एमएलए अभी तक कहीं नहीं गए। कांग्रेस पार्टी अभी भी शिवसेना के साथ है, लेकिन शिवसेना तो अब बताए कि शिवसेना के साथ कितने लोग हैं कितने नहीं हैं। इसलिए मैंने ये कहा था कि उद्धव ठाकरे जी बाला साहब ठाकरे के वारिस हैं, उनकी विरासत को लेकर चल रहे हैं। वो विरासत जो हिंदुत्व की विरासत है, वो विरासत जो मराठा के स्वाभिमान की विरासत है, वो विरासत जो महाराष्ट्र और महाराज छत्रपति शिवाजी जी की एक परंपरा की विरासत है। तो उस विरासत में कोई मुख्यमंत्री अगर उसके एमएलए छोड़ के चले गए हैं तो फिर उन्हें मनाता घूमे, जोड़ तोड़ करे, मुझे लगता है ये नैतिकता के खिलाफ है और उद्धव ठाकरे जी को इस्तीफा दे देना चाहिए। ये मैंने एक सलाह के रूप में अपनी बात रखी।
नैतिकता की जब बात कांग्रेस पार्टी करती है तो थोड़ा अजीब नहीं लगता आचार्य जी, क्योंकि नैतिकता की बात होती तो 106 एमएलए थे बीजेपी के, तो 55 सीट वाले शिवसेना के साथ आपने सरकार बनाई क्यों? तब नैतिकता कहां थी? और दूसरा, आप कह रहे हैं कि आपको बताना चाहिए कि शिवसेना है कौन सी। क्यों बताना चाहिए? क्योंकि आप तब तय कर सकें कि आप 16 एमएलए वाली शिवसेना को सपोर्ट देंगे या 37, 38, 40 वाली शिवसेना को सपोर्ट देंगे। सवाल नंबर 2। और सवाल नंबर 3 जो मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी कि नैतिकता, आप कह रहे हैं कि उत्तराधिकारी उद्धव ठाकरे हैं, तो आपकी तो वो ख्यालात हैं डायनेस्टी, गांधी के पास ही पूरा का पूरा दारोमदार है कांग्रेस चलाने का, यानी कि एक ठाकरे ही शिवसेना चला सकता है। क्यों एकनाथ शिंदे नहीं चला सकते या कोई और तीसरा चौथा जो विधायक है वो नहीं चला सकता? इस पर आपकी क्या राय है? नैतिकता की बात कर रहे हैं तो परिवारवाद पे भी बात करिए कि परिवारवाद गलत है, नैतिकता के खिलाफ है।
देखिए नाविका जी, नैतिक मूल्यों का निर्वहन करना चाहिए, लेकिन नैतिक मूल्यों का निर्वहन करने के लिए कोई नियम कायदे नहीं बने होते हैं कि किसी आदमी पे हम जबरदस्ती करें। ये तो मनुष्य की अपनी इच्छा है, को करे ना करे। जहां तक सवाल है नंबर का, आपने बताया कि वहां सरकार उसको समर्थन देना चाहिए था, सरकार उनकी बननी चाहिए थी कि 100 से ज्यादा एमएलए बीजेपी के थे। तो गोवा में तो 18 कांग्रेस के जीते थे और 13 बीजेपी के जीते थे, लेकिन बीजेपी की सरकार बनी। ऐसे ही आप पार्टी की बात कर रहे हैं तो नैतिक मूल्यों का निर्वहन राहुल गांधी ने किया। 2019 के अंदर जब चुनाव हारे तो नैतिकता के आधार पर उन्होंने अपने पद से इस्तीफा दिया और आज तक राहुल गांधी ने अध्यक्षता स्वीकार नहीं की है।
पार्टी फिर भी वही चला रहे हैं,
ये नैतिक मूल्यों
फिर भी वही चला रहे हैं, चाहे पोजीशन। स्मिता प्रकाश जी, ये जो मोरालिटी की बात है, नैतिकता की बात है, सुहेल सेठ टॉक्ड अबाउट इट and now Acharya ji is talking about morality, that this is not moral the way we are seeing this whole play of numbers that's going on in Maharashtra, and Acharya ji is talking about Rahul Gandhi, morality of stepping down from the president of Congress position. Do you really believe that in the real world lectures on morality are rather misplaced?
That also from politicians, please. Ethical, unethical, moral, immoral, no, please, what we are seeing today is nothing to do with ethics and morality. It's only a play of numbers, and it's got nothing to do with betrayal of a legacy or anything like that. That's not what has happened. I mean, if it was really about a legacy of Bala Saheb, then how come those hearts didn't bleed for the past 3 years, and it's only now 2 years, coming 2 years close to election, suddenly they feel, oh, how will we go back to the people and ask for their vote, because after all we asked for their vote because we were in alliance with BJP before the election, and then after the election we went with the Congress. So how will we go back to the people? They didn't think about the people when they made the government, when they made Uddhav Thackeray the chief minister with Pawar and Congress support. Where was the ethics in that? Where was the morality in that? You ask for votes for some other reason and you become chief minister. And what is this legacy of Bala Sahib? Bala Sahib never became chief minister, did he? That is the Thackeray legacy, not clinging to power. So, you know, I don't believe any of them. I mean, in fact, today I felt, Uddhav Thackeray actually cut a very sorry figure. I felt sad for him. That, you know, he looked like one Shakespearean tragic hero. He was talking about that I was counted among the best chief ministers during fighting COVID. I mean, no, that's not the certificate from random people that you take and asking Pawarji's backing and Supriya Sule's backing. No, where does the support from the Shiv Sena come? It comes from the streets of Mumbai, and the streets of Mumbai were silent today. They were not reacting to Uddhav and to what was happening with Shiv Sena. That itself should have been a sign. Today when he made a very emotional appeal, there should have been thousands of people lining the streets. I'm not saying that there should be violence or there should be tod-phod and all, which incidentally is the legacy of the erstwhile Shiv Sena, but not that. But they should have been lining the streets. There was nothing like that. The Shiv Sena of today is nothing like the Shiv Sena of yesteryears, and I won't be surprised if there's a vertical split in the party in the coming days. If Shinde doesn't manage to get the complete numbers, there might be a split. If Uddhav doesn't hand over the reins, it's going to end up in the courts. I don't see this resolving itself quickly.
Well, clearly, even though the numbers are increasing with Eknath Shinde, and we told you he already had 34 plus 1, and now 3 more MLAs have gone inside, and those 3 of them are from Shiv Sena. Gulab Rao Patil, he was a minister. Yogesh Kadam, again Shiv Sena. Nirmala Gavit, Shiv Sena. She even wrote a letter that no action. Okay, and visuals of Uddhav leaving Varsha and going across to Matoshri, those shots also coming in. Chandrakant Patil also joins the dissident group, and he's an independent. So 3 Shiv Sena members of Legislative Assembly have arrived at the Radisson Hotel in Guwahati, and their suitcases going out of Matoshri, and Uddhav Thackeray all but going out of Varsha and on to Matoshri, all but throwing in the towel. But
what about the furniture? What about the furniture? Is this seriously moving house through suitcases? I mean, it's the worst symbol to present to a people if you really believe that you are in charge of your party. I mean, this is the amount of baggage that Navika you travel with when you go on a domestic flight, and this is what he travels with when he's moving home.
No, I mean, what's your complaint? You think he should have more luggage?
My complaint is these optics themselves tell a very pitiable story. I mean, this is ridiculous. That is, as you said about throwing in the towel. You've thrown in the towel and the bags. I mean, this is ridiculous. I have not seen this ever before. I mean, normally people cling on to their homes, but this is an abject admission of defeat.
Resignation.
It's an abject admission of defeat.
Well, but no resignation yet. No resignation yet, and that's the question I want to ask Chandrasekhar Jha, leader of the Shiv Sena. Jana hi tha, so it's fine, but maybe after a resignation, morality can't be above constitutionality at the moment, and just moving out with your luggage, with your suitcases. What is the message to the people of Maharashtra? Is there a chief minister in town or not?
See, today Sahib has given a very clear message that he is ready and willing to resign. First thing. Second thing, that there is no less Hindutva, and eventually we have followed the Hindutva in much better way. Third thing, if there is a fraction between the concerned persons, it can be resolved on sitting at the concerned place, and it can be discussed that whether
the party line has to continue in the same way, or it has to be or the other way. So everything is clear. He has spoken everything clearly. And if you say today that what he has done is not morality, then what more than can be a morality?
Morality?
I say very clearly
morality, walking out, waiting for people who are not coming to him but going to Guwahati instead. Where is the morality in that? Can you see any morality in that, Subrashta ji? Can you see any morality? I mean,
no.
If the number game is stacked against you, I think morality demands that you give in your resignation. Acharya ji said that, right at the beginning of the show, and he's tweeted earlier. Subrashta ji, are we still talking morality? Are we still talking कि भाई आके बात कर लो? अरे नहीं आ रहा ना कोई. ये तो आपने कल भी कहा. आपने आज शाम को Facebook लाइव करके कहा. कोई आया नहीं बल्कि 3 चले और गए.
Let me be very clear. There is a demand.
Demand what?
There is a demand.
What is the demand?
From their side. Demand from their side that we have to go with the BJP. That is their only demand. So let them come, let them sit, let them be on table, let it be decided. If they want to do it, let them do it. And eventually Uddhav Sahib has already declared that he is ready and willing to resign from the party chief as well.
But isn't it too late, Subrashta ji? Because 1.5 years, 1.5 years, there have been interlocutors within the party saying that the party is on edge, it will break, it is losing out. But Uddhav Thackeray did not meet them. Did not solve these problems. Now, as they say, कहावत है ना, अब तो पानी सर से ऊपर चढ़ गया. अब कहाँ? Where is? Have they reached a point of no return? Or do you think a compromise is still possible? Chandrakant Jha, 1 minute. You made your point. Subrashta ji, Chandrasekhar ji, Subrashta ji.
Navika ji, I think it's very clear, especially after Uddhav Thackeray addressed, I don't know, maybe his dissidents, or maybe he was trying to address the people of Maharashtra. I don't really know who the subject of his live was. But whoever he addressed, what he said in the address made it very clear that he doesn't have any issue aligning with the BJP. I think he made it, I kept on reiterating that in 2014 they fought the elections together. Historically they fought the elections together. So maybe he has made up his mind to go for an alliance with the BJP. Now what I think I agree with Suhail on the point of, the Chief Minister of a state leaving his official residence like that in a suitcase. The message is extremely confusing for the people of Maharashtra. Is there a...
No, he's not in the suitcase.
Today? And if he is, then why is he out of his official...
Of course.
Subrashta, you said he's living in the suitcase. I hope that's not true.
A person living with a suitcase becomes an issue.
Sir, you remember Harshad Mehta? Have you forgotten Chandrasekhar ji?
As far as Chandrasekhar Jha's statement is concerned, I think Chandrasekhar Jha ji should understand that there was already, a brewing discontent in the party for quite some time now. Now, if Mr. Uddhav Thackeray could not, assess that or guessestimate what was happening, then it's a complete failure of the political, of a political mind that he has. I have been saying this, Navika ji, and I'll reiterate. This is going to be a problem with second generation leaders. One cannot expect Uddhav Thackeray to be a Bal Thackeray. One cannot expect Aditya Thackeray to even be 1/10 of Bal Thackeray or spitting image of Uddhav Thackeray. These are people who have been handed over political positions just because they were born in political families. The kind of aggression that is required in politics, the kind of humility which is required to address the concerns of the ground workers is completely missing in Shiv Sena. It is not the first time.
What was the role of Mr. Uddhav Sahib Thackeray in that family?
Mr. Jha, I'm not here to look at the Mr. Jha, I'm not here to look at the family history of every political family in India.
So when you say
making a general statement. If you disagree with me, please show it in your politics.
Excellent.
No, it cannot be a general statement. You are
what are you trying to, Mr. Jha, do you have the numbers with you? Okay, let me ask you a very straight question. Do you have the numbers with you?
No.
Do you have the numbers with you? Because if you do, then why is your
that is a mathematical
why is your leader leaving the official residence?
They should have gone to the floor and
of course, because I'm sorry, but in a democracy, I'm sorry if you don't know 101. I'm sorry if you don't know 101 of government formation. You need the numbers. It is a democracy. It is a democracy.
That's exactly the point. You may be handed over the party the point.
Something which you don't know.
But you need numbers.
You know, the constitution puts down the process. The constitution puts down the process. And may I tell you, 1 minute, Mr. Chandrasekhar Jha, the constitution lays down the process. The rest can be theatrics, but it doesn't amount to much, because at the end of the day you need the numbers to prove your majority in the house, and that's the way it works. That's the way the Mahavikas Aghadi was born, because the BJP minus the Shiv Sena could not form a government. Well, that's the way, that's the settled process. But let me get in Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, is there any other way? Morality lectures, can that take anybody anywhere? And by packing his bags and going out with suitcases, is Uddhav Thackeray making a point, giving some sort of a signal to the Shiv Sainiks कि बस अब मैंने resign तो नहीं किया है, but you guys are free to come on the streets and let's play the emotional card, because the constitutional card doesn't anymore exist with us. I want to ask you, what does this symbolism really mean at this point for people in Maharashtra?
Navika, I'll answer that question. I think the half an hour into your program, I think the elephant in the room that needs to be addressed is, why are Shiv Sena MLAs who are dissidents of this government, why are they in Guwahati? Why was Surat, a BJP ruled state, not safe enough for them? Why were they transported at 3 o'clock in the morning by a chartered flight to Guwahati? I'll tell you why. Because those numbers that Mr. Shinde is claiming and the BJP is hoping are suspect, because they know that in closer proximity, those numbers will probably cross over to the other side. That's the first truism that we need to accept. Number two, and very critical, you know, this calling the BJP as a party with a difference, this needs to stop. I mean, the BJP is probably the biggest electoral fraud and the political hypocrite the world has seen. I'll give you 2 examples related to Maharashtra alone. They formed a government for a few days with Ajit Pawar of the NCP. They are the ones who, when in Bihar, the Congress and the JDU and the RJD won an election, the BJP comes from behind and destabilizes the entire government. Did they have the public legitimacy to be in government? The answer is no. And Ravika, you already know about Puducherry, Rajasthan, the attempt to topple Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Goa, Manipur. The BJP is a party which is a monstrous machine abusing the privilege of power for its own aggrandizement or the lust for power. Let's put that in a nutshell and put it away. I don't think we need to even debate the BJP's ethical standards. So as far as the Eknath Shinde issue is concerned, Navika, I disagree with what Smita said. She said that actually Uddhav didn't cut a good figure. I thought what he said today was actually brilliant. I'll tell you why. Number one, he went public. You know, he was made to look like a guy who's going to lose. He's facing a party under rupture. He went public. He actually challenged Eknath Shinde. He spoke to his dissidents in Guwahati. He spoke to his Sainiks. He spoke to the media. He spoke to the public at large. He spoke to his alliance partners. And he said, listen, if you don't want me, I'm willing to step out. Now, the truth, Navika, is this, and this is hard arithmetic of politics. Mr. Shinde will have to return to Mumbai with whatever number he's claiming to have a floor test. Ultimately, it has to be a floor test. And think about it. Why did Mr. Eknath Shinde not hold a press conference as he had promised?
No.
Why has he come with some apologetic speech?
Sanjay Jha, while I am not going to object to the truisms that you have mentioned, yes, we've seen Manipur, we've seen Goa, we've seen Madhya Pradesh, we've seen Karnataka, we've seen all that. My question to you is simple. Between the NCP, the Shiv Sena, the Congress party, you ran the government in Maharashtra. You have a home department, you have an entire state police. Now 40 of your MLAs go away from the city. You have no clue. You have no clue. Your own people.
Yeah.
What kind of governance, what kind of administration do you have to offer? Will you answer that question as well? I mean, shouldn't that question be asked? You're so engrossed in yourselves and your power games that you don't even know what's happening to the other people in your own party who help you form the government. Why don't you answer that question? You can criticize the BJP till the cows come home. Are they supposed to look after your party as well?
Fair enough. Let me answer your question. You know, if by mistake I leave my door open in the night when I go to bed, it doesn't give my neighbor a right to come home and plunder my goods and steal. Okay. So let me make
so you are living in Ram Rajya. You didn't realize that Kalyug aa chuka tha. हाँ, अपने घर का दरवाजा खुला रख दो और बस उम्मीद पे रहो कि भाई कोई नहीं अंदर आएगा। अब मुझे ये बता दीजिए, ये धर्म युद्ध है या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल युद्ध है जहाँ नंबर जरूरी है?
And Navika, let me give you an answer to your question.
No, you gave the answer. You said that I can leave the door open. It doesn't give the right to my to the neighbor to come in. Well, you've answered the question.
Can I come?
And it's very Congress-like. I don't know why they suspend you. It's a very Congress-like.
Can I come in, please?
No. The analogy is misplaced.
Navika, can I come in?
The analogy is misplaced. If I know that there are thieves around, which is the case with the political class, why the hell would I keep my door open? A, B, are you comparing this to a burglary? This is not a burglary we are discussing. I know where Sanjay is coming from in his analogy. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But the reality is there was no market intelligence. There was no police intelligence. You weren't able to capture the dissidents within your people. It is an abject failure of understanding the sentiment of your own party. So, I am not here to blame Uddhav. I think it is a disastrous move for India's democracy. Whoever comes to power is irrelevant. The fact that you can do this in broad daylight in itself suggests a terrible strain of events. We must change that, Navika.
Well, we must change that, and we can continue to pray till the cows come home. But have these people, Smita, forgotten how Bhuta Singh dissolved the government in Bihar and how the president was faxed, and at that time it was APJ Abdul Kalam. You know, the Congress talking about ethics and the Congress talking about, oh, my door was open, that doesn't give the right to neighbors to come in. What did they do? Bhul gaye aap? Have they forgotten those pieces of history that they themselves wrote?
Navika, can I respond to you on that one?
These are fissures in our democracy which have existed. I don't understand how Mr. Jha can forget. How can Mr. Jha forget that Chandrasekhar was made Prime Minister by Rajiv Gandhi and then toppled that same government because there were two policemen opposite his house. Anyway, that's besides that. I never said that Uddhav cut up bad or showed up bad. I said he looked tragic. And why did I say that he looked tragic today like a Shakespearean hero? Tragic Shakespearean heroes are not bad. They're just weak. Today he just looked, as Suhail pointed out, he just looked incapacitated. He just looked that he didn't know what was happening. He looked like a blind king. He looked like he didn't know, that a whole bunch of people are going to be taken away to Surat and then to Guwahati. He just like, I was the best chief minister, one of the best chief ministers. Who's asking for your certificates now? Just a good person doesn't necessarily make a good chief minister. He might be very good person, fine. But for being a good chief minister, good prime minister, you need a whole bunch of other qualities. You just can't be somebody's son who has a legacy to uphold. He had to be more than that. He was running a coalition where he had a good, a kingmaker out there, Mr. Sharad Pawar. He's not going to be leading you by the finger all the time. You're the chief minister. You should have known that you are not able to hold your flock together. What were you doing not being able to have a speaker for so many months? When you knew that there were people in your own, or you probably didn't know that there were people in your party who were disgruntled, and there could be a situation where now what's going to happen? Your speaker is not with you. How is it going to resolve? So he looked even more pathetic than say Kumaraswamy today.
ये तो पहले दिन से कहा जा रहा है कि बीजेपी सरकार को गिराने की कोशिश कर रही है, हमारे खिलाफ षड्यंत्र हो रहा है, तब भी आप चौकन्ने नहीं रहे, तब भी आप इन टच विद योर एमएलएज नहीं रहे, आप अपना स्पीकर नहीं चुन सके, आप इस तरह से वहां थे कि बस सत्ता आ गई है, अब बस बैठकर आराम करो और सत्ता को भोगो। मैं पूछना चाह रही हूं कि ना तो ये पहली बार हुआ है आज के काल में, ना ये आखिरी बार हुआ है। हमें लॉ बदलना चाहिए, हमें ये तरीका बदलना चाहिए, बिल्कुल मानते हैं, सब मानते हैं, लेकिन इस वक्त जो हो रहा है इसमें इस देश की जनता का कोई रोल है ही नहीं। देश की जनता ने जो वोट दिया था वो वोट दिया था बिगेस्ट लार्जेस्ट पार्टी बीजेपी को, और उसके बाद जो सरकार बनी थी वो जनता का वोट था ही नहीं, और आज जनता का कोई रोल है ही नहीं। जोड़ तोड़ जो भी हो रहा है, और हमें लेक्चर दिए जा रहे हैं मोरालिटी के कि बीजेपी बुरी है, ये बुरा है, वो बुरा है। जनता का क्या?
देखिए नाविका जी, एक तो बार बार मॉरलिटी की बात हो रही है, नैतिकता की बात हो रही है, जो मेरे से शुरू हुई, तो मैं स्पष्ट कर देना चाहता हूं कि मॉरलिटी की बात जो है कोई नियम कायदा नहीं होता है। मैं अपनी जिम्मेदारी रखता हूं, आप अपनी रखती हैं, डॉक्टर अपनी रखता है, जर्नलिस्ट अपनी रखता है, पॉलिटिशियन अपनी रखता है। तो अगर कोई डॉक्टर बेईमान हो जाए तो वो हो जाए, नहीं, उसे नैतिक मूल्यों का निर्वहन करना चाहिए। तो मेरा कहने का मतलब ये था कि हर एक व्यक्ति को अपनी नैतिक जिम्मेदारी लेनी चाहिए, पहली बात। दूसरी बात, अब सवाल है, जब गोवा की गवर्नमेंट बनी थी बीजेपी की, तो हमारे 18 एमएलए थे, बीजेपी के 13 थे, लेकिन सरकार जब बनाई तो उसमें मैं बिल्कुल ये कहना चाहता हूं कि बीजेपी ने अपनी ताकत का इस्तेमाल किया, सामदाम दंडभेद का इस्तेमाल किया और छल फरेब का इस्तेमाल किया। लेकिन ये जो शिवसेना वाला जो प्रकरण है, मैं बिल्कुल निष्पक्ष होकर बात करने का आदी हूं। मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं, इसमें बीजेपी को दोष तो लगेगा, ये पक्की बात है। मैं भी ये मानता हूं कि बीजेपी अगर उनको सपोर्ट नहीं करती तो वो गुजरात क्यों जाते, बीजेपी उनको सपोर्ट नहीं देती असम क्यों जाते। लेकिन झगड़ा तो अंदर पैदा हुआ, नाराजगी अंदर पैदा हुई, तो इसका सारा दोष अगर हम बीजेपी पर डालें तो मुझे लगता है ये नाइंसाफी होगी। हां, ये बात जरूर ठीक है कि जब शुरू से जैसे शिवसेना की सरकार जब बनी थी, उद्धव ठाकरे जब बने थे, तब से लेके आज तक लगातार ये कोशिश हो रही थी कि उद्धव ठाकरे की सरकार को डिस्टर्ब किया जाए, मगर ये सरकार की जिम्मेदारी बनती थी। मैं आपसे सहमत हूं, सरकार की जिम्मेदारी बनती थी कि उनका इंटेलिजेंस कहां था। अभी जो संजय झा कह रहे थे वो बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं कि अभी मैं तो अपना सामान खुला छोड़ दूं तो पड़ोसी मेरे घर से निकाले। अरे भाई, सामान छोड़ना और विधायकों को छोड़ना दोनों अलग अलग विषय हैं।
बिल्कुल। रवि श्रीवास्तव जी, आई वांट टू आस्क यू
10 सेकंड। और ये सारे विधायक वो हैं जो उद्धव ठाकरे जी के बहुत करीबी थे, तो अगर ये सब इकट्ठे होकर बाहर जाते हैं तो ये कोई बच्चे नहीं हैं, ये कोई दूध पीते बच्चे नहीं कि इनको कोई टॉफी देगा, चॉकलेट देगा, बहका देगा। इन्होंने बड़ा भारी सोचा होगा, गणित लगाया होगा, इन्होंने कैलकुलेशन की होगी और बड़े बड़े माल पानी का मामला देखा होगा, अगले भविष्य का सुरक्षित अपना देखा होगा। इन्हें यह भी मालूम होगा, इन्हें यह भी 1 सेकंड 10 सेकंड सुहेल साहब, इन्हें यह मालूम होगा कि जब फ्लोट टेस्ट होगा तो अगर हम कम रह गए तो हमारी सदस्यता चली जाएगी, फिर इन्होंने अगले चुनाव में जो खर्चा होगा उसकी भी डील की होगी। ये सब बहुत सी जांच का विषय है महाराज। लेकिन अब जो मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि अब नैतिक मूल्यों का निर्वहन करते हुए उद्धव जी को इस्तीफा दे देना चाहिए, ये मेरी उन्हें सलाह है। मैं कोई उन्हें डिक्टेशन नहीं दे रहा हूं, मेरा मन कह रहा है कि उन्हें अब नहीं रहना चाहिए।
Ravi Srivastava ji. Ravi Srivastava hasn't spoken. Let's be fair. I'm coming back to you and I'll give you the last word. But Ravi Srivastava.
There will be 2 people who will be suspended from the Congress. By the time your program ends, there will be a second person who will be suspended from the Congress. And now let me see.
What?
Who do you want? Sorry, missed that.
No, I love what Acharya ji is saying, but if the party hears what he's saying, वो भी बेचारे suspend हो जाएंगे. I'm worried about that.
So वो कह रहे हैं कि आप जो कह रहे हैं नैतिकता और कांग्रेस, आप सस्पेंड ना हो जाए कहीं कांग्रेस से, क्योंकि संजय झा जी जो हमारे साथ हैं वो सस्पेंडेड कांग्रेस लीडर हैं, तो एक और हो जाएंगे इस पैनल पर, ये उनका कहना है, ये उनकी विशेष टिप्पणी है। लेकिन रवि श्रीवास्तव जी, इस वक्त जो सच्चाई है और जो सामने है कि असली शिवसेना है किसकी? 55 थे विधायक, 55, out of whom about 38 or 39 are now in Guwahati. You can cry as much as you want that the BJP is doing it, but as Acharya ji said, the problem आपके अपने घर में थी. You refused to look at it, head on, and you refused to solve it. So you have to pay the price. That's the way the world works. So I want to ask you today, how do you see the situation developing from here on?
आपने 43 मिनट के बाद मुझे बोलने का मौका दिया, इसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। पहली चीज तो ये कि सारे पैनलिस्ट ने एक बात साबित कर दी कि उद्धव ठाकरे इज ए वेरी क्लीन पर्सन, बट ही इज ए वेरी वीक पर्सन. He could not see that the party is slipping out of his hand, etc., etc. बट एकनाथ खड़से कौन सा कैरेक्टर है और उसे कौन सा हिंदुत्व 2.5 साल के बाद याद आया जब उसने मंत्री पद की मलाई खाई बैठ करके और खुद एमपीए की सरकार बनवाई थी 2.5 साल पहले, पर आज उसे याद आया कि उसका हिंदुत्व जो है वो बीजेपी वाला हिंदुत्व है और जिस पार्टी में वो बैठा हुआ है वो हिंदुत्ववादी पार्टी नहीं है, ये हिंदुत्ववादी नहीं है, ये हिंदुत्व ऑफ मनी बैग्स है. I say I am not solely responsible for BJP, but BJP is definitely playing their cards on this board. That you come to say मैं बीजेपी के साथ मिलकर सरकार बनाऊंगा.
Well, it's all happening. According to latest information coming in, Tajinder Bagga has filed a complaint against Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray in Malabar Hill Police Station for violation of COVID protocols. So that's the latest that's happening in Maharashtra. Tajinder Bagga has filed a complaint in the Malabar Hill Police Station. Subrashtra ji, you know, if we can just go across to visuals that are coming in live. Outside Matoshri, there are Shiv Sainiks who are lining up. We've seen visuals of, Uddhav leaving his house. In Guwahati, there is possibly a little celebration as 3 or 4 more MLAs have joined the Eknath Shinde camp. And now there is a complaint against Uddhav Thackeray for breaking protocol. Is this the least of the problems, or is the number game the bigger problem? To know who's in control, who rules Maharashtra, and if the people of Maharashtra have a problem, where they can go.
Navika ji, of course it's a number game, and of course numerical strength will surpass any other narrative which is being, which will be peddled. Let me tell you, constantly there are talks about Manipur and Goa. Not Manipur today, Manipur the first time the BJP ever made government in Manipur. Let me tell them, it was not an unconstitutional government. The government ran for good 5 years, delivered on good governance, and is back with a bang. And BJP is back with a bang in Manipur again. So all those who cry foul about the fact that BJP is using political jugglery to do this and that, well, use political jugglery yourself. It's not like you guys didn't do political jugglery when you were in power. It's not like you guys are absolutely, and Smita ji is very right when she says that let's not talk about morals with politicians.
Well, absolutely, morals are a problem, but morality, I'm sorry I'm out of time, but morality not really the big issue here. The big issue is who's in charge of Maharashtra, and that's what people of India would want to know. As far as the BJP is concerned, well, officially no word from them, but I spoke with Narayan Rane, the ex-Shiv Sainik who joined the Congress and then the BJP. What did he have to say about Maharashtra and the latest shenanigans? That interview on the other side. Thank you to my panelists for joining me. एकनाथ शिंदे जी से आपकी कोई बातचीत हुई, उनका क्या विचार है, कितनी जल्दी ये सरकार गिराने का मत है बीजेपी का?
नहीं, बीजेपी का मत हमें कोई गिराना नहीं है. ये शिवसेना अपनी पार्टी संभाल नहीं पाने से ही विधायक की नाराजगी की वजह से पार्टी टूटी है. ये शिवसेना ने अपनी पार्टी आपस के झगड़े में टूटी है, इसका बीजेपी के साथ कोई संबंध नहीं. हम लोग कोई गिराने की कोशिश नहीं की है, ये खुद गिर रहे हैं.
लेकिन नारायण राणे जी, पहले सूरत में आपने उन्हें रखा, फिर उसके बाद गुवाहाटी ले जाया गया, जो दोनों राज्य हैं वो बीजेपी के राज्य हैं. आप कैसे कह सकते हैं कि बीजेपी का इसके साथ कोई लेना देना नहीं?
देखिए, लेना देना का सवाल नहीं आता है. कोई भी होटल हो तो होटल में क्या बीजेपी के खुद के होटल है क्या जाके रखने का? एक बुकिंग किया होगा, उनको लगा होगा सुरक्षा व्यवस्था जहां बीजेपी का राज्य है उधर सुरक्षा व्यवस्था अच्छा है करके गुजरात में गए, करके आसाम में गए, वो भी होटल में गए, किसके घर में तो नहीं गए ना। और इसमें हमें कोई मदद मांगे तो हमारा फर्ज है मदद देने का।
नारायण राणे जी, अभी संजय राउत जी ने भी थोड़ी देर पहले कहा है कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा, सत्ता चली जाएगी कोई बात नहीं, लेकिन जो आइडियोलॉजी है वो नहीं जानी चाहिए। इस पर आप क्या टिप्पणी करेंगे संजय राउत जी के इस स्टेटमेंट पर?
देखिए, शिवसेना की आइडियोलॉजी संजय राउत को क्या मालूम है? शिवसेना की आइडियोलॉजी जब बनी और शिवसेना स्थापना हुई, जब ये था क्या, ये सामना जब ही निकला ना, जब ही वो संपादक करके आया, नौकरी के लिए आया, शिवसेना का आइडियोलॉजी इन्होंने कभी फॉलो की? बाला साहब ये विचार, बाला साहब कभी भी हिंदुत्व छोड़कर मुख्यमंत्री पद के लिए नहीं भागते थे, नहीं जाते थे, नहीं स्वीकार करते थे। इसको क्या मालूम है आइडियोलॉजी? ये तो कमाने आया है, नहीं तो उनको क्या पगार था, सैलरी क्या था यार? ये मतलब से है शिवसेना में, मतलब से। और मैं अभी कहा इसके पहले, शिवसेना खत्म करने का इन्होंने सुपारी लिया था। आज तो खुश होगा कि जो मैं सुपारी लिया मैं सक्सेस हो गया। इस प्रवृत्ति का आदमी है, इस स्वभाव का आदमी है वो, मैं जानता हूं उनको अच्छे तरह से। बाला साहब जी उद्धव जी के ऊपर काफी लोकप्रभा में से क्रिटिसाइज किया, जब लोकप्रभा में नौकरी था काफी क्रिटिसाइज इन्होंने किया है। तो साहब जी का, माननीय बाला साहब ठाकरे जी का आइडियोलॉजी इनको क्या मालूम है?
मैं पूछ रही हूं कि आगे चलकर बीजेपी और शिवसेना में दोनों में कोई अलायंस की पॉसिबिलिटी है?
देखिए, इस प्रश्न का भी उत्तर मैं नहीं दे सकता हूं। राजनीति में नीति में कुछ भी हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है। कभी सोचा था कि किसी ने शिवसेना कांग्रेस और राष्ट्रवादी के ऊपर जाएगी, पास जाएंगी, साथ में जाएंगी? कोई नहीं सोचा था। इन लोग का सबका आइडियोलॉजी अलग है, राष्ट्रवादी कांग्रेस का अलग है, शिवसेना का अलग है। ये उद्धव ठाकरे जैसा ही स्वार्थी आदमी ऐसा आइडियोलॉजी छोड़कर जा सकता है, दूसरा व्यक्ति नहीं जा सकता है।
राणे जी, बहुत से लोग ऐसा कह रहे हैं कि आप इंटरलोक्यूटर हैं, जो सेना से छोड़कर विधायक आए हैं बीजेपी की तरफ, क्योंकि आप पहले सबको जानते हैं, पहले से आप इंटरलोक्यूटर हैं। क्या ये बात सही है? आपकी एकनाथ शिंदे जी से कोई बात हुई, कोई चर्चा हुई?
इस विषय पर नो कमेंट्स, में इसके पर कोई जानकारी नहीं दे सकता इस वक्त। ये सब निर्णय राज्यपाल जी के होने के बाद, वापस सत्ता महाराष्ट्र में आने के बाद मैं इसकी जानकारी आपको फोन करके दूंगा।
तो आपको पूरा विश्वास है कि सत्ता आ रही है आपकी वापस?
नहीं, बीजेपी की तो आज न कल आनी ही थी ना, आनी थी। इस देश में अभी बीजेपी छोड़कर सरकार चलाने वाले कोई पार्टी है ही नहीं ना। जिधर है उधर हालत कितनी खराब है।
तो क्या बीजेपी के पास ये राइट है कि मध्य प्रदेश में सरकार गिरी, फिर बीजेपी आ गई, कर्नाटका में 2 साल बाद गिरी, बीजेपी आ गई, अब महाराष्ट्र में 2 साल के बाद गिरेगी, बीजेपी आ जाएगी? तो ये जो लगता है आरोप बीजेपी के ऊपर कि जहां आप सरकार बना नहीं सकते वहां गिरा जरूर देते हैं।
नहीं, गिराने का गिर जाता है सरकार, और लोगों की भी इच्छा होती है कि बीजेपी सरकार सेफ सरकार है, डेवलपमेंट करने वाली सरकार है, तो तजुर्बा वाले सब नेता है। सरकार चलन का अनुभव खाली बीजेपी का नेता जन को है, तो लोगों की इच्छा होती है, वैसा हो जाता। हमें गिराने की आवश्यकता नहीं। अभी इधर किधर हम गिराए महाराष्ट्र में? ये खुद गिर गए, खुद गिर गए, हमने नहीं गिराया।
एकनाथ शिंदे जी से आपकी पहले से जान पहचान है? एकनाथ शिंदे जी से पिछले 24 घंटे में कोई बातचीत हुई आपकी?
एकनाथ शिंदे पहले से हमारा संबंध है, हमारी उनका रिलेशन भी है, तो मैं समझता हूँ। मगर राजनीति में मैं जब शिवसेना छोड़ा उसके बाद उसका राजनीति अलग था, हमारा राजनीति अलग था। पिछले 24 घंटों में मैं उनको एक ट्वीट जरूर किया, मगर मैं बात नहीं किया।
आपको क्या लगता है, आप उद्धव जी को भी जानते हैं, उद्धव जी इस्तीफा देंगे और जल्दी में देंगे जैसा कहा जा रहा है, या आपको लगता है कि अभी पिक्चर बाकी है?
देखिए, उद्धव जी को मैं बहुत अच्छी तरह से जानता हूं। मैं 39 साल शिवसेना में था। वो ऐसे इस्तीफा नहीं देंगे, देने वाले होते ना तो कल ही दे देते। उनको कहना पड़ेगा कि आप में अभी बहुमत नहीं है आपके पास, अभी इस्तीफा दो। राष्ट्रवादी और कांग्रेस कहेंगे आपको अभी इस्तीफा देना पड़ेगा, और वो आज ही तय होगा जब वो इस्तीफा देने जाएंगे, नहीं तो इस्तीफा भेजेंगे। इतना राजनीति में दिल उनका बड़ा नहीं है कि जाके इस्तीफा राष्ट्रपति जी के हाथ में देने का।
नारायण राणे जी, ये अजीब बात नहीं है कि सरकार उद्धव जी की है, एनसीपी है, कांग्रेस है, और 40 विधायक के करीब गायब हो जाते हैं महाराष्ट्र में और किसी को पता ही नहीं चलता। ये इतना साइलेंट ऑपरेशन कैसे किया?
इसको तजुर्बा बोलते हैं। अनुभव हो तो सब कुछ हो तक सकता है ना। एक तो इनको सरकार चलाते हैं, पुलिस है, इनको जो मालूम होना चाहिए अपने विधायक कहां जा रहे हैं। एक दो नहीं, 40 विधायक कैसे सरकार चलाते हैं? एक तो पुलिस का सपोर्ट होगा।
नारायण राणे जी, आपने शायद एक लफ्ज में सारी कहानी तय कर दी, तजुर्बा। और तजुर्बा दिखा है इस वक्त के 40 विधायक के करीब आप कह रहे हैं गायब हैं। कब तक चलेगी उद्धव ठाकरे की सरकार, अभी देखना बाकी है। नारायण राणे जी, हमारे साथ बात करने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.
Opposition's presidential candidate and the decision that is expected to be taken on that as far as the meeting, the second round that was going to happen today. We're given to understand that Yashwant Sinha's name has been finalized by the opposition. 17 parties were invited. They were supposed to be part of this opposition meeting. Yashwant Sinha this morning took to Twitter. He said he is hoping that a larger responsibility is entrusted on him, and his party's chief Mamata Banerjee approves of that. Looks like it's not just an approval from Mamata Banerjee but from a united opposition as well, because Yashwant Sinha is now the consensus candidate as far as the presidential election is concerned for the opposition. Remember, this also comes at a time when 3 candidates declined the offer. Gopal Krishna Gandhi, Sharad Pawar and Farooq Abdullah were the 3 picks that the opposition had made, all 3 of whom denied to take them up on the offer. They had different reasons for it. Madhav's Gopalakrishnan, senior editor, with me for more on this. Madhav, it looks like Yashwant Sinha is the consensus.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
Let's get you breaking news coming in from Maharashtra now. Even as the crisis looms there for the Shiv Sena, there is a massive show of strength that is taking place. Pro Sena chants are greeting Uddhav Thackeray. Listen in.
Good evening and welcome. You are watching the Newshour Agenda, India's most loved primetime show at 10. I am Padmaja Joshi. Uddhav Thackeray does not enjoy a majority anymore. That became even more clear today from his own speech today evening. Uddhav Thackeray declared that he is moving out of the Chief Minister's residence, but he has decided to stay put in the Chief Minister's office. Why? What surprise does he have up his sleeve? Why is it that even today, after the Shinde Sena ranks swelled even further and 4 more MLAs landed up at a Guwahati hotel, Sanjay Raut still insisted that all is well?
मंत्री उद्धव ठाकरे जी है और रहेंगे। फ्लोर ऑफ द हाउस पर अगर मौका मिला तो हम बहुमत सिद्ध करके दिखाएंगे।
Well, Uddhav Thackeray did put his cards on the table when he made a 30-minute long address today at 5:30. His points were the following. One, that he is willing to offer the Chief Minister's office to someone from the rebel camp, including Shinde himself. Two, that a cabinet reshuffle can also be done to accommodate some disgruntled folk. Three, that he is going to shift out of the Chief Minister's residence, something that he in fact has already done. And finally, that he is willing to talk face to face to all rebels and address their issues. But here's the thing. Here's the big if, and it's a very big if. There is one thing that he did not talk about, and ironically, it is the only thing that matters anymore. Will the Shiv Sena continue to be in alliance with the NCP and Congress? Because if it does, then the split in the party is at a point of no return. And here is why I say so. Despite the Chief Minister's outreach, Eknath Shinde made it clear that the problem is not about who is the Chief Minister. It is the alliance itself, the alliance that made Uddhav the Chief Minister. In a series of tweets, Shinde again lamented how the NCP and the Congress had reaped the benefits alone in the 2.5 years of the Aghadi being in power, and the Shiv Senics were systematically sidelined. Shinde also said that if the Sena and Senics have to survive, the only way to do so is to exit this unnatural alliance. So, if the Sena wants to survive, if Uddhav Thackeray wants to continue in party and in government, is he going to take the one and only way out of the mess and return to the BJP alliance?
You're watching the News Hour at 10. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Okay, joining us now on the debate, Ratan Sharda author, Varun Singh senior journalist, Sanjay Gupta, leader of the Shiv Sena, Lokesh Jindal, political analyst. But I first want to cut across to Arunil because even as we speak, the bag and baggage has left from Varsha. It's headed to Matoshri. And I believe for a while there was almost, jisko kehte hain, jamavda of Shiv Senics who had turned up. What's happening now, Arunil? Quick update.
Well, Padmaja, at present I am reporting from outside the Sahyadri guest house. Now, this road must be looking deserted, but this was completely blocked with the entire convoy of around 10 cars of CM Uddhav Thackeray. But behind him was his son, behind him was his son, Aditya Thackeray, is also a minister in Maharashtra government, his wife, Rashmi Thackeray, and the entire convoy. And Shiv Senics were over here. Some of them were getting very emotional because their Shiv Sena Supremo was vacating the official CM residence and going to the Matoshri residence over there. Now, Sanjay Raut has made a very interesting point, very significant point, I would say, that he said that CM Uddhav Thackeray will prove his numbers on the floor of the house. If that was true, then why did CM Uddhav Thackeray vacate the official CM residence? Is it another emotional appeal that CM Uddhav Thackeray is making to his party cadre, to his rebel MLAs? Because if we look at the number, now 3 more Shiv Sena MLAs, that also includes one of the close confidant of CM Uddhav Thackeray, Mr. Gulab Rao Patil, who is also a minister in this Mahavikas Aghadi government. He is also gone and joined the Eknath Shinde camp. So yes, the numbers of Eknath Shinde camp are clearly growing.
So give us a quick calculation. Back of the envelope calculation, Arunil, how many are there in the Shinde camp now? How many Sena, how many independents?
Well, if we look at the numbers, Padmaja, there are 33 Shiv Sena MLAs at present in Eknath Shinde camp. He has been saying that more are expected to join. When the number reaches 37, then it will be game over for CM Uddhav Thackeray. The party
33 Shiv Sena and how many independents?
Eknath Shinde will be making his party his. Well, with respect to independents, Padmaja, we are understanding that between 7 to 10 independents are with Eknath Shinde. Okay. But now the independence role is not that important because Eknath Shinde's camp first has to defeat or avoid the anti-defection law. And for that, Shiv Sena MLAs are extremely paramount. 37 Shiv Sena MLAs can help Eknath Shinde do that. And then only we can expect the BJP and Devendra Fadnavis to enter into the fray.
Okay, interesting. So, they may not be able to dodge the anti-defection law, but Uddhav Thackeray does not have the numbers either. If these numbers, 33 Sena and 10 independents that you're giving us is anything to go by, 43 of these people are currently in Guwahati, and we are being told that more are likely to join in. Arunil, thanks very much for getting us that quick update. Those images you see out of Uddhav Thackeray leaving Varsha for Matushri. The Chief Minister's residence has been vacated. Will he now step out of the Chief Minister's office? Let me ask you this, Sanjay Gupta, to save the government, will Uddhav Thackeray go back to BJP? There's only one formula. 1+1 formula rebels दे रहे हैं, कांग्रेस को छोड़िए, बीजेपी से जुड़िए.
देखिए, अगर उद्धव जी आज अगर चीफ मिनिस्टर रेजिडेंस से बाहर आए हैं तो उसका मतलब गवर्नमेंट को सेव करना नहीं है. उसका मतलब अपने विधायकों को ये संदेश देना है कि उन्हें चीफ मिनिस्टर पद से लगाव नहीं है, उन्हें अपने विधायकों से लगाव है. अगर विधायक ये चाहते हैं कि आज वो चीफ मिनिस्टर ना रहे तो वो उस पद को छोड़ने के लिए तैयार है, मगर
तो लगाव नहीं है तो छोड़ क्यों नहीं दिया? अगर घर छोड़ दिया तो फिर ऑफिस भी छोड़ दीजिए. मतलब ये कैसा त्याग है कि आप मतलब कह रहे हैं मैं त्याग दूंगा पर त्याग रहे नहीं है.
आप बात को पूरा होने दीजिए, आप बीच में थोड़ा सा मेरे को बात पूरी करने दीजिए
जी.
देखिए, एकनाथ शिंदे जो बात कह रहे हैं कि हिंदुत्व के मुद्दे पर हम बीजेपी के साथ सरकार को बनाए, तो इस बात को हमारी पार्टी के अंदर
हिंदुत्व पे तो अभी आई नहीं हूं, मैं आपसे सीधा सीधा पूछ रही हूँ कि भाई अगर घर खाली कर दिया तो फिर ऑफिस क्यों नहीं छोड़ रहे, और ऑफिस में तो फिर घर क्यों खाली किया?
हाँ, तो इस पर जवाब ले लीजिए. देखिए, उन्होंने सीधा संदेश दिया है कि जो विधायक हैं वो आकर के उनके सामने बैठ करके बात करें. उन्होंने इस बात का साइन दिया है. अब कोई गुजरात के विधायक थोड़ी ना जो वो गुजरात के अंदर जाके बैठे हैं या गुवाहाटी में जाकर के बैठे हैं, गुवाहाटी में या गुजरात में उनको कैद कर रखा है, क्या कर रखा है, क्या पता.
कंफ्यूजिंग साइन है, मुझे समझ में नहीं आया कि भाई अगर आप मुख्यमंत्री रह रहे हैं तो मुख्यमंत्री आवास छोड़ने का क्या मतलब है? पद पे है पर आवास छोड़ दिया.
मुख्यमंत्री आवास छोड़ने का ये संदेश है आपका. अब सवाल खत्म हो गया. आप मुख्यमंत्री आवास छोड़ने का सीधा संदेश है कि वो चीफ मिनिस्टर ऑफिस भी छोड़ देंगे अगर विधायक वहां पर आकर के उनके सामने बैठ करके बात करेंगे तो. लेकिन सिर्फ एक दूर बैठे हुए विधायकों के उनके किसी को वीडियो, कोई उनकी कॉल नहीं है, कोई किसी तरह का इंटरेक्शन नहीं है. जब तक कि मुंबई में आकर के सामने बैठ करके वो नहीं कहते तब तक चीफ मिनिस्टर भी गए छोड़ दे. पता चले उनको तो कैद कर रखा था, अपहरण कर रखा था, बाद में वो आगे गए कि जी हमें तो. अब जैसे एक विधायक ने संदेश है, संदेश है कि हम चीफ मिनिस्टर ऑफिस भी छोड़ सकते हैं अगर घर छोड़ सकते हैं तो.
घर का क्या मतलब है?
आप भी समझ में
मुद्दा तो ऑफिस का है ना, घर छोड़ने का क्या मतलब है? कहीं भी रह लीजिए. मातोश्री कौन सा कोई बड़ी छोटी सी घर है? मातोश्री तो और अच्छा और सुंदर है.
छोड़ दिया है
वर्षा से भी
समझ के भी समझना नहीं चाहती हैं. जो घर को छोड़ सकते हैं वो ऑफिस भी छोड़ सकते हैं.
नहीं छोड़ सकते ना सर, जो घर छूटे तो छूटे, सत्ता छूटने में बहुत दर्द होता है. घर तो आते जाते रहेंगे, सत्ता थोड़ी ना आएगी ऐसे.
वरुण सिंह बनना चाहते थे चीफ मिनिस्टर कभी भी.
वरुण सिंह,
उद्धव साहब कभी भी.
क्या लगता है आपको इस मैसेज के बारे में? हाउ डू यू डिकोड दिस डीप मैसेज?
Actually, he is just what I can tell you is he's just what is that practice run कहते हैं. Now he has to leave the CM office also, so it's a small practice run. I don't know which MLA came and told him, Baba, you leave the CM office or CM house. Did any MLA, यानी अगर वो सिर्फ MLA से सुन रहे हैं तो किस MLA ने कह दिया बाबा देखो ये शिवसेना वो शिवसेना नहीं रही.
गुवाहाटी के हैं.
2 दिन लग गए, 2 दिन I have covered Shiv for 15 long years. If one MLA बगावत करता है तो सड़कों पे लोग होते हैं, 2 दिन बाद आज सड़क पे लोग जमा हुए हैं. Just imagine the situation. Just imagine when more than half of MLAs of Shiv are leaving the party.
200 MLA, एक MLA के पीछे, 200 पुलिस वाले एक MLA के पीछे.
एक एक करके संजय जी, एक करके. हाँ, वरुण सिंह को बोलने दीजिए, फिर आप जवाब दीजिए. हाँ.
And they had to,
आप बात पूरी नहीं होने देते हमारी. आप
they had to force people to come on ground today. Just imagine what is the situation of Shiv. I have been telling since morning, Padmaja, I told you also in the evening, that with Eknath Shinde, the Shiv has also lost the muscle power that it used to have, it used to enjoy. And I'm not I don't mind mincing words. The Shiv that was there, the Shiv that is there today, there's जमीन आसमान का फर्क. ये संजय जी माने ना माने, महाराष्ट्र में कितने दिन रहे हैं, कहाँ देखा है क्या नहीं देखा है मुझे नहीं पता. हमने तो बचपन से शिवसेना को देखा है. इतनी सी आवाज होती थी छगन भुजबल when he left, he had to hide in the washroom. Yes. When Narayan Rane left, his cars were attacked. When Raj Thackeray, I am telling you, when 40 people from Shiv are not there, it takes you 2 days for the Shiv to wake up. I'm telling you, Shiv are those Shiv who wake up and they don't even need a single person to tell them कि भैया कुछ हो रहा है, आओ. वो आ जाते हैं सड़कों पे.
Interesting you mentioned that, because yesterday Chhagan Bhujbal, who ironically was trying to tell Shiv Sainiks कि आप लोग सब साथ में रहिए, ये सही नहीं है, बिखराव नहीं होना चाहिए, वो सेम ब्रेथ में ये भी कह रहे थे कि जब मैंने छोड़ा था तो मेरे को सिक्योरिटी रखनी पड़ी थी, because शिव सैनिक्स were threatening to attack my house. और आज ये हो गया कि थाने में संजय गुप्ता पोस्टर छप गए, पोस्टर जिसमें बीच में थे खुद शिंदे, दूसरी तरफ उनके गुरु और तीसरी तरफ बाला साहेब ठाकरे. ना उद्धव ठाकरे थे पोस्टर में, ना आदित्य ठाकरे थे पोस्टर में, ना कोई और था. ये हालत हो गई है कि एकनाथ शिंदे निकल करके गए और पोस्टर से उद्धव ठाकरे को हटा दिया संजय गुप्ता.
पोस्टरों में लगने और हटने से कोई पार्टी के चीफ नहीं बदल जाते, पार्टी के चीफ वही रहते हैं. अभी तो शुरू हुए सिलसिले, अभी कई दरमिया बाकी हैं. अभी तो जो विधायक दूसरी स्टेट में बैठे हैं उनका मुंबई में आना बाकी है. देखिए, महाराष्ट्र का फैसला महाराष्ट्र में होगा, गुजरात या गुवाहाटी में नहीं होगा. अभी जब तक विधायक बॉम्बे में नहीं आ जाते तब तक इस बात का कोई फैसला नहीं किया जा सकता कौन किसके साथ है, कौन किसके साथ नहीं है.
काफी क्लियर है कौन किसके साथ है. एक चिट्ठी है जिसमें नाम है और एंड द अनकाइंडेस्ट कट. जस्ट अ सेकंड संजय गुप्ता जी, आप बिलीव करें या ना करें, यहां पर सड़कों पर निकलना तो दूर, उद्धव जी ने अपना भाषण दिया मुंबई में और आधे घंटे के अंदर अंदर रतन शारदा लोग सड़कों पर नहीं निकले, 5 MLAs निकल गए गुवाहाटी के लिए, 3 इंडिपेंडेंट और 2 शिव सैनिक और चल दिए.
दिखाई नहीं देते मातोश्री के बाहर कितने सारे लोग हैं, कितने शिव सैनिक हैं, मतलब हजारों शिव सैनिक.
बड़े अच्छे आदमी है
जो
संजय गुप्ता. तो शिव सैनिकों से मेजोरिटी नहीं प्रूव होती ना, MLA से प्रूव होती है. अब आप मानिए ना मानिए कि उद्धव ठाकरे वहां पर कह रहे थे कि मैं बात करने को तैयार हूं. गुलाब राव पाटिल जो कि मंत्री हैं, उन्होंने कहा टाटा मैं जा रहा हूं गुवाहाटी. गुलाब राव पाटिल 1 घंटे के अंदर अंदर गुवाहाटी पहुंच गए.
जाने से प्रमाणित क्या होता है?
निर्मला गावित वहां पहुंच गई, MLA है वो.
आएगा क्या फ्लोर टेस्ट वहां पे होगा? क्या गुवाहाटी में जाकर के अब महाराष्ट्र की सरकार बनेगी?
गुवाहाटी में नहीं बनेगी.
बताइए गुवाहाटी से ताल्लुक क्या है?
चलिए,
गुवाहाटी जाना आना, घूमने गए, किस लिए गए, उनको मनाने गए, आपको क्या पता?
भाई इसलिए पता है क्योंकि वो चिट्ठी लिख रहे हैं ना सर, शायद आपने पढ़ी नहीं होगी. उस चिट्ठी में क्या लिख रहे हैं वो मैं आपको अभी 10 सेकंड के बाद बताऊंगी. पर पहले रतन शारदा जी से पूछ लेते हैं कि ये क्या मैसेज था कि उद्धव ठाकरे ने कहा आइए मुझसे बात कीजिए और 5 लोगों ने और कहा थैंक यू नॉट इंटरेस्टेड. रतन शारदा.
देखिए, संजय गुप्ता जी बड़े प्यारे आदमी है, शिवसेना के खराब दिनों में लगातार उनका साथ देते हैं, उनके साथ आर्ग्यूमेंट नहीं थी तो भी बोलते रहते हैं प्यार से, तो अच्छी बात है, ऐसे लॉयल लोग चाहिए. लेकिन देखिए, पहले तो जो स्टंट उन्होंने किया वर्षा छोड़ने का, इतना एप्टी स्टंट, आप गवर्नमेंट छोड़ने को तैयार नहीं है लेकिन आपने सिग्नल दिया कि मैं घर छोड़ रहा हूँ, मैं मतलब हार रहा हूँ, मेरी सरकार गिरने वाली है, लेकिन फिलहाल मैं मामला और घसीटूंगा और खींचूंगा ताकि कुछ लोगों को तो मैं वापिस टैग तोड़ सकूं. ये मैसेज है, देयर इज नथिंग एल्स. कुछ हद तक वो भावुक करना चाहते हैं लेकिन भावुकता ऐसे नहीं होती. आप रिजाइन करते हैं जब पता चला कि आपकी मेजोरिटी कम हो गई, और फिर वहां से अकड़ के निकलते वर्षा में कि मैंने रिजाइन कर दिया। अरे संजय जी, आपकी मैंने शाबाशी दे दी, अब थोड़ा बोल दे दीजिए मुझे। मैं आपसे डरता हूँ बहुत, शिवसेना से डरना चाहिए। कब आके थप्पड़ मार दे, कब सिर गंजा कर दे, पता नहीं। हमारे तो वैसे बाल कम है।
डरने की
और आप देखिए
बात 1 to 1 क्या कीजिएगा, 1 to 1 भी रखा कीजिए, सवाल का जवाब भी लिया।
एक सेकंड संजय जी, एक सेकंड। रतन शारदा,
देखिए आपने जब कहा, यही मैं बार बार कह रहा हूँ 3 दिन से, कि शिवसेना जो है उसको, शिवसेना के एमएलए को डर लग रहा है कि जनता उनके साथ नहीं रही, शिवसेना के सपोर्टर उनके साथ नहीं रहे, दे आर लूजिंग सपोर्ट, दे विल नॉट बी एबल टू विन अगेन। दैट इज अ मेन फियर। वो एनसीपी के साथ करके, जिनके साथ उन्होंने कई सालों तक, दशकों तक दुश्मनी निभाई है, उससे साथ दोस्ती करके कैसे जीतेंगे? सेक्युलरिज्म, हिंदुत्व की तो बात ही मैं नहीं करता हूँ, सब कर चुके हैं। लेकिन ये जो बिल्कुल एक एंटागोनिस्ट व्यू था, उसको एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे लाने का जो प्रयोग था, सफल नहीं होना था। आपके पास मिनिस्ट्री दी सकती है, कह रहे बात करते सामने आके, भैया एकनाथ शिंदे वेंट टू हिज होम। अरे यार रुको 1 मिनट यार, रुको। एकनाथ शिंदे वेंट टू मिस्टर ठाकरे's home. You have made to wait 1 hour outside, like Mr. Hemant Biswa Sarma at PD, and finally there was a big showdown. Is this the way you want to talk? Who will talk to you when insult your senior leader? ये मुझे बताइए।
संजय गुप्ता बताइए।
आपसे कोई करता नहीं, आप सड़कों में महिलाओं को उतारते रोते हुए, जब आपने बीजेपी को धोखा दिया था, तो चैलेंज किया था कि आप कितने
कौन सीनियर लीडर है, क्या जवाब, कौन से सवाल का जवाब।
ये तो रतन शारदा कह रहे हैं कि शिवसेना का पिद्दी मोमेंट हो गया। संजय गुप्ता,
शिवसेना, देखिए ऐसा है कि रतन शारदा जी जो है वो बीजेपी के कट्टर समर्थक हैं, और जब से बीजेपी से शिवसेना अलग हुई है तब से इस तरह की बातें की जाती हैं जो होती नहीं है, जो होती नहीं है। देखिए पालघर के साधुओं के मामले में आप लोग कहते हो कि शिवसेना ने कुछ नहीं किया, हिंदुओं ने मारा था उनको। सुशांत सिंह राजपूत केस में क्या निकल के आया? जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन मुंबई पुलिस की थी वो सीबीआई की आई। आप उन बातों को कहते हो जिन पे से शिवसेना हटी नहीं। हिंदुत्व के मुद्दे पे आप बार बार कहते हो कि शिवसेना हट गई। कौन सा मुद्दा ऐसा है कि कांग्रेस से हाथ मिला लेने से, किसी से दोस्ती कर लेने से कोई अपने मुद्दे से नहीं हटता?
संजय गुप्ता इंस्टेड ऑफ आंसरिंग द टॉपिक, एक सीधा सा सवाल है, इसमें इतना गोल गोल जलेबी बनाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है। सिंपल सी चीज ये है कि आज एकनाथ शिंदे और उनके साथ जो 40 लोग बैठे हुए हैं वो सिर्फ एक चीज कह रहे हैं, कांग्रेस को छोड़िए, बीजेपी से नाता जोड़िए। करने को तैयार है तो सरकार बचेगी, नहीं तो जाएगी। अब शिवसेना क्या करेगी?
अब इसका जवाब लीजिए, अब इसका जवाब लीजिए। देखिए इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है कि आज ही नहीं बल्कि पहले भी, आज से 2.5 साल पहले भी हमारी पार्टी के बड़े लीडरांस भी इस बात को चाहते थे, आज भी चाहते हैं कि शिवसेना बीजेपी के साथ गठबंधन करे। इस बात पर मनोज जोशी साहब ने भी अपनी स्टेटमेंट दी थी कि हमारा नेचुरल अलायंस जो है वो बीजेपी है। प्रताप सरनायक साहब ने भी इस बात को कहा था कि हमें बीजेपी से नजदीकियां बनानी चाहिए। आज भी एकनाथ शिंदे साहब की इस बात का मैं समर्थन भी करता हूं।
तो आप क्यों बैठे हैं?
बीजेपी से नजदीकियां बनानी चाहिए और बीजेपी से दोस्ती करनी चाहिए। हमारा नेचुरल अलायंस हो जाए। एक मिनट रुकिए ना रतन शारदा जी,
शिवसेना के लोग कह रहे हैं कि बीजेपी के साथ आओ, नहीं गए।
मेरा स्टैंड तो मैं देता हूँ, अपना स्टैंड देता हूँ।
आप किसके साथ हैं?
स्टैंड लीजिए ना, आप पूछ भी लेते हैं, बोलते रहते हैं आप, यही आपकी कमी है
कि आप किसके साथ हैं।
आप अपने व्यवहार को ठीक कीजिए। मेरा स्टैंड यही है जो एकनाथ शिंदे साहब कह रहे हैं, इस पर गंभीरता से विचार होना चाहिए।
आप स्माइल कर रहे, आपको पता है बोलने कुछ नहीं है
हमारे स्वरूप में ना, आप धमकी
पर गंभीरता से विचार हो नहीं रहा ना दोस्त। संजय गुप्ता जी, गंभीरता से ही तो विचार नहीं हो रहा है, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम यह है कि उद्धव जी ने सब कुछ बोल दिया। उद्धव जी ने कहा कि नहीं आप चीफ मिनिस्टर बन जाओ, मैं इधर से भी चला जाता हूं, मैं आपको अकोमोडेट भी कर लूंगा। बट दूसरा आदमी कह रहा है कि मेरे को चाहिए ही नहीं, आप जो ऑफर कर रहे हैं वो मेरे को चाहिए ही नहीं। मैं कह रहा हूं दैट दिस इज द टच ऑफ डेथ। आई डू नॉट वांट द टच ऑफ डेथ। नहीं तो सीएम छोड़िए, कल ना सीएम रहेंगे, ना पार्टी रहेगी, ना सेना रहेगी, ना सत्ता रहेगी। सिंपल सी चीज बोल रही है आज, और यही किसी को समझ में नहीं आ रही है।
2/3 लोग निकल गए। आप सोचिए,
समझ में आना चाहिए और इस पर गंभीरता से जवाब लेते नहीं। आप सवाल पे सवाल 36 तरह से आप सवाल पूछ लेते हो, छोड़ देते हैं हम डिबेट को। फिर
अच्छा चलिए,
36 तरह से
नहीं आप नाराज मत होइए। तो आप अच्छा ठीक है, आप भी मान रहे हैं कि गंभीरता से विचार होना चाहिए, मान लिया आपको, पर आपको लग रहा है विचार हो रहा है?
देखिए विचार होगा, हर पार्टी के अंदर बहुत से मामा शकुनी होते हैं, हमारी पार्टी में भी और इनकी पार्टी में भी बहुत से ऐसे शकुनी है, मामा शकुनी, बीजेपी में भी, जो नहीं चाहते कि बीजेपी और शिवसेना गठबंधन हो। आप नारायण राणे को ले लीजिए, किरीट सोमैया को ले लीजिए, और बहुत से नेता ऐसे बीजेपी के भी हमारी पार्टी में भी हो सकते हैं ऐसे कि जो नहीं चाहते बीजेपी और शिवसेना का गठबंधन फिर से हो। अब
देखिए संजय गुप्ता जी, अच्छा नहीं लगता कि आप अपने नेम से को शकुनी बोल रहे हैं, ये अच्छी बात नहीं है। वो बहुत सीनियर नेता हैं, पत्रकार भी रहे हैं, उनको इस तरीके से बोलना अच्छी बात नहीं है। लोकेश जिंदल भी हमारे साथ हैं, उमेश पाटिल जी भी हमारे साथ जुड़ गए हैं। उमेश पाटिल जी, शिवसेना के सामने एक ही रास्ता है, आपको छोड़ेंगे और अगर बीजेपी के साथ जुड़ेंगे, क्या आपको लगता है हो जाएगा?
देखिए ये अब
हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी में
नहीं, अभी वो उद्धव जी ठाकरे जो डिसीजन लेंगे हम उनके साथ है, ऐसा हमारे पार्टी चीफ ने कहा है, पवार साहब ने भी वैसा कहा है। अभी जो सिचुएशन है वो हम ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हैं उसको, और देखते हैं कि क्या नतीजा आता है उसका। अभी उद्धव जी ठाकरे ने तो कह दिया है कि आप अगर शिव सैनिक जो होता है वो मुख्यमंत्री होना चाहिए, ऐसी भूमिका उन्होंने अभी सबके सामने रखी है। अभी जो बात चल रही थी कि वर्षा निवास स्थान जो उन्होंने छोड़ा है, ये एक प्रतीकात्मक होता है कि मैं छोड़ने के लिए तैयार हूं, ये उन्होंने दर्शाया है। ये इसका मतलब ये भी है कि मैं सीएम पद भी छोड़ सकता हूं, पार्टी इंपॉर्टेंट है, शिवसेना इंपॉर्टेंट है, शिव सैनिक इंपॉर्टेंट है। अभी देखिए ये एमएलए तो उनके साथ गए एकनाथ जी शिंदे जी के साथ, लेकिन पार्टी ऐसे कभी नहीं जाती, उसकी एक एफिलिएशन होती है, इमोशंस होते हैं। पूरे महाराष्ट्र में अगर शिवसेना के अंदर प्रक्षोभ हो गया और वो सभी शिवसेना पूरे राज्य से अगर रास्ते पे उतर गई तो ये मुश्किल हो जाएगी एकनाथ जी शिंदे को इमोशनली हैंडल करने के लिए। ये टेक्निकली तो वो हो जाएगा उनका, मतलब वो पार्टी के नेता भी बन सकते हैं, वो खुद पार्टी प्रेसिडेंट बन सकते हैं, या खुद ही वो अभी बीजेपी को सपोर्ट के लिए पत्र भी दे सकते हैं।
थोड़ा सा ये थ्रेटनिंग साउंड कर रहा है, इमोशनली हैंडल नहीं कर पाएंगे तो क्या मतलब है? कोई उनको इमोशनल चिट्ठियां थोड़ा ना लिख रहा है। आप क्या ये कह रहे हैं कि शिव सैनिक उनके खिलाफ सड़कों पे आ जाएंगे?
अरे देखिए, ये मेरी बात रखने दीजिए, मुझे बोलने दीजिए ना। वो हार्डकोर शिव सैनिक है, जब शिवसेना हार्डकोर शिव सैनिक है, पूरी लाइफ जो है ना शिवसेना बनाने में और खड़ी करने में उन्होंने भी अपना खून पसीना बहा है। और ऐसे में अगर पूरी शिवसेना उनको गद्दार कह के अगर रास्ते पे उतरेगी तो उनको इमोशनली उनको हैरेसमेंट तो होगी उनकी। खुद को उनको जो है ना इमोशनली एक तरह से वो खुद भी परेशान हो जाएंगे कि पूरा कैसा होता है ना, नेता जो बनता है वो कार्यकर्ताओं से और मतदारों से बनता है।
अगर ऐसी बात है, अगर वो इतने हार्डकोर हैं और उन्होंने ज्यादा समय शिवसेना में बिताया है एज कंपेयर टू उद्धव ठाकरे, तो उनको ही मुख्यमंत्री बना देते। इतने हार्डकोर शिव सैनिक को साइड क्यों कर दिया फिर?
नहीं, अगर उनको देखिए, मुख्यमंत्री उद्धव जी ठाकरे को बनाने के लिए उन्होंने खुद ही समर्थन दिया है। कौन है सूचक उनके मुख्यमंत्री पद का? उनके मुख्यमंत्री सूचक
हैंडल नहीं कर पाएंगे इतना इमोशन।
जब उद्धव जी ठाकरे को सीएम पद का उम्मीदवार चुना गया,
दो बातें, एक तो एनसीपी वाला ने
चुना गया, 2.5 साल मंत्रिमंडल तो रह गए ना।
मुख्य एकनाथ का मुख्य विषय क्या है कि मैं कांग्रेस इकोसिस्टम के साथ अलायंस नहीं कर सकता, शिवसेना बर्बाद हो जाएगी। वो उनको ठाकरे में इंटरेस्ट है, खुद को सीएम बनने में इंटरेस्ट है। उनका इंटरेस्ट है कि हिंदुत्व की ताकतें एक साथ चले, कांग्रेस के साथ रह के शिवसेना बच नहीं सकती। उसका उत्तर आपके पास नहीं है। आपने जो इमोशनल ब्लैकमेल की बात की है, वास्तव में ऐसा ही है जैसे महाराष्ट्र में पिछले कुछ सालों में कोई ना कोई जातिगत दंगे करवा के, कोई ना कोई जातिगत मोर्चे निकलवा के कुछ नेताओं ने यहाँ शांति भंग करनी चाहिए क्योंकि उनका पॉलिटिक्स चल नहीं रहा था। कृपया ऐसी पॉलिटिक्स लड़ा के महाराष्ट्र में अशांति मत फैलाइए। मुद्दा यह है कि शिवसेना का भला होगा, कांग्रेस के साथ नहीं होगा। ये क्लियर है, उनके सपोर्टर्स को भी क्लियर है। इसलिए इतने दिन कोशिश करने के बाद भी आपके कहने के अनुसार सड़क पे लोग नहीं उतरे। आप इसमें गौर करिए।
Okay, in fact, we are just getting in big news from Mumbai right now. 6 more MLAs, Lokesh Jindal, of the Shiv Sena are expected in Surat tonight itself. That's what sources are telling us. We already have, if we have the Shiv Sena and independents together, about 41 MLAs are there in Guwahati, and now we are being told that 6 more MLAs of the Shiv Sena are expected in Surat. 7 rooms have been booked in the hotel. 1 person has already reached, 1 more has crossed the Gujarat border, and 4 more are slated to come there from Mumbai. How? Let's get a lowdown on that from Shivani. Yes, Shivani, quick update. Who are these people?
Well, definitely this comes at this particular hour of time that there are 6 more MLAs of Shiv Sena. Those are expected to reach Surat tonight, and in fact 7 rooms have been booked in a hotel, and several names have also come in. That is the Mangesh Kudalkar, the one has reached, 1 more crossed Gujarat border as of now, what we are learning. 4 more are stated from Mumbai. In fact, 2 private jets have already been booked at the Surat airport, and just like previous night, as I was reporting from the ground at 2:20, all of those MLAs, including Eknath Shinde, had landed at Surat airport, and then they took a flight around 3 o'clock, and then they reached out to Guwahati, and that is the same kind of a repetition that we are going to see tonight as well, where all of these MLAs will be reaching to Surat at one particular hotel, and then from there they will be moving to the Surat airport at late in the night, and from there they will be reaching out to Guwahati to join Eknath Shinde along with those MLA. And as Eknath Shinde was rightly pointing out that he is very confident about 40 MLAs being in his cadre, and few more will also be joining him. So it clearly seems that more people from the court and from the boss of Uddhav Thackeray are now shifting to Eknath Shinde's cadre.
But how is it that after Uddhav Thackeray's speech also this movement is happening? Do they not believe in Uddhav Thackeray's assurances?
Well, definitely the way the CM has clearly mentioned and has somewhere in fact shown his disgrace as well, that people should not have moved to Surat or any other place. Rather, they should have taken a chance to meet him in person and sit and talk with him. Padmaja, let's very clearly remember from our sources we are learning last year, few months back, it was Eknath Shinde who went to CM Uddhav Thackeray along with 18 MLAs and had a word with him regarding their disgrace with respect to the MBA alliance. So it is not the first or second time where Eknath Shinde has opposed the MBA alliance or has not reached out to CM Uddhav Thackeray. That is why we are seeing that after that particular emotional speech as well, it seems that the people, those have faith in Eknath Shinde's strategy with respect to Hindutva ideology or any other plannings that Mr. Shinde is making at the moment with regards to formation of a party or formation of an opposition against to Uddhav Thackeray seems even more stronger than the emotional.
All right, so the Shinde Sena ranks are definitely growing at this point. Lokesh Jindal, first reaction.
How are you so sure that the MLAs who are going, they could be also supporters of Uddhav Thackeray, and they could be simply going and getting things sorted out, and it could happen. They might be telling what is happening at the ground level. Don't you think there is a lot of adrenal rush that I'm seeing around so as to simply have some form of a destruction of MBA government? But let me tell you, this will not happen.
There is no adrenaline rush. Just by the way, let me assure you, there is everything is and everyone is very, very calm. Everyone around me is extremely calm. There is no adrenaline at all. That being said, I want you to, you're absolutely right. What are they doing there? They could be there to convince Eknath Shinde also. But let me just show you. 1 hour ago, the MLAs who reached Guwahati, and going by the looks of it, मुझे लग नहीं रहा वो किसी को मनाने गए हैं. वो वहां पर जाकर के गले मिलके जुड़ने जा रहे हैं सर. वो कोई ऐसा कोई वो SWAT टीम नहीं लग रहा है कि अभी हम सबको वापस लेके जाएंगे. वरुण सिंह.
I just, I want to tell you small things. Did you see the young MLA called Kadam? He is the son of Ramdas Kadam, a veteran Sena leader who has been unhappy for almost 2 years or 1.5 years. And this Kadam fellow, the younger Kadam I'm talking about, he is a close aide of Aditya Thackeray. He's not a close aide of, he's not part of the coterie of Uddhav Thackeray. So even the younger generation who we used to think is, with Uddhav, with
Yogesh Kadam, he's on screen right now. Yogesh Kadam, he's there, yes.
Yes. So Yogesh Kadam, and they are part of his older coterie, and they have started leaving. Mangesh Kodalkar, all these people, and I'm telling you, they are hardcore Shiv Sena. And anybody who thinks that they are leaving for Guwahati to convince Eknath Shinde, then probably they do not understand even a bit of Shiv Sena. Sorry.
Lokesh Jindal.
See, Shiv Sena and legacy of Bala Saheb Thackeray. I am in Maharashtra. I have grown up in Maharashtra. I know how it is. And the manner in which today Uddhav Thackeray came out of the CM residence, he upheld the legacy of Bala Saheb Thackeray. Bala Saheb Thackeray was never interested in becoming the chief minister. And the manner in which he came out was graceful. He simply said, okay, I was the chief minister for the party, for Shiv Sena. If the Shiv Senics want me to be the chief minister, I will be there. If they don't want me, I am happy to leave it. So the message that he gave was graceful, the message was clear, and he also stated that nowhere...
So tell me, all the Shiv Senics wanted him to become the chief minister, so he became chief minister. Did all the Shiv Senics also say, we insist you make your son a minister?
Let me complete. It was in 2018 that the first time Shiv Sena went apart with that of BJP. The split happened in January 2018. And in 2019, when the elections occurred, at that point of time also, Shiv Sena, it contested the elections without BJP. So there was no opposition from Eknath Shinde then. When the MVA occurred, there was no opposition from Eknath Shinde when Citizenship Amendment Act issue happened. There was no opposition from Eknath Shinde when there was this Azan issue, Hanuman Chalisa Road. No. But suddenly, after the MLC elections, there is this opposition happening.
Actually, that is not true, because that is exactly what Shivani said right now. That as far back as 1 year ago, the same Eknath Shinde had said that, listen, what we are doing is suicidal. Pratap Sarnaik actually wrote a letter saying that if after COVID is over, you want to go back to people with any kind of support, then you must go back to the BJP. I can show you number of statements that people have given from within the Shiv Sena, people who are grassroots leaders saying this is headed towards disaster. But before we go any further, I actually want to ask you, Sanjay Gupta ji, आज शाम को मुख्यमंत्री ने बोला मुझे कोविड है, तो फिर वो शरद पवार जी से कैसे मिले?
मास्क
और नेगेटिव रिपोर्ट आ तो चुकी है उसकी, अब उसमें नेगेटिव रिपोर्ट हो तो गई है, आरटीपीसीआर के अंदर नेगेटिव।
कहाँ गई नेगेटिव रिपोर्ट? मुख्यमंत्री ने खुद प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में बोला, अपने फेसबुक लाइव में बोला कि मैं कोविड पॉजिटिव हूँ। हाँ, उसके आधे घंटे बाद शरद पवार, सुप्रिया सुले, जितेंद्र आवाड उनसे मिल रहे हैं।
4 घंटे में इलाज, बढ़िया दवाई, हमें भी बता दो।
उसके बाद भी रिपोर्ट एक दूसरी आई थी, उसमें नेगेटिव आया। इसमें
ये कौन सी रिपोर्ट है भाई?
टेस्ट होता है, उसमें पॉजिटिव आया था।
एक दिन में 2-2 टेस्ट।
आरटीपीसीआर की रिपोर्ट में नेगेटिव आया था। मेरे पास तो यही सूचना है कि उसमें उनका नेगेटिव है।
आपके पास एक गुप्त टेस्ट की गुप्त सूचना है। वरुण सिंह, क्या कोई दूसरा टेस्ट हुआ है? क्योंकि
कंपाउंडर मस्ट हैव इश्यूड द रिपोर्ट। There's a big joke about doctor and compounder.
एंटीजन टेस्ट था वो, जिसमें पॉजिटिव आई थी, उसके बाद दूसरे टेस्ट में नेगेटिव आई है उनकी।
बड़ा सर्टेनली होप उनकी नेगेटिव आई है, क्योंकि ना सिर्फ उन्होंने जाके शरद पवार जी से फिर मुलाकात की, उसके बाद जो आप विजुअल्स देख रहे हैं उसमें आदित्य ठाकरे उनके बगल में खड़े हुए हैं। फिर वो जब वो वर्षा से बाहर निकले तो सैकड़ों लोग उनके आसपास घूम रहे हैं। बट वरुण सिंह, कैन यू प्लीज जस्ट क्विकली क्लैरिफाई दिस? ये अभी लाइव विजुअल्स वी आर गेटिंग ऑफ देम रीचिंग मातोश्री। एक नेगेटिव रिपोर्ट भी आई है क्या? क्योंकि अब एक कंप्लेंट हो गई है उद्धव जी के खिलाफ फॉर वायलेटिंग कोविड प्रोटोकॉल्स एज सीएम। वरुण सिंह,
I'm not aware about any negative report, because whatever, as a journalist, we go with the official statement, and at 5 o'clock, that was his first night. That my face is dull, my face might not look energetic because I'm suffering from COVID. After that, there has been no statement from any official Shiv Sena party leader that his report came as negative.
There is an official release that the CM has tested COVID negative.
कौन से प्रदेश?
When? What time? What time?
जाएंगे मिलने 5 विधायक, तो गले तो मिलेंगे पुराने साथियों से।
So at 5:30 he was holding a press conference.
तो उनके गले मिला जाता है।
There was a press release that he is COVID negative.
I don't know. We are journalists. We never received any official. We received.
ये लोकेश जिंदल जी, प्रेस रिलीज था या कोई व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप था?
नहीं, प्रेस रिलीज था। We are not from the WhatsApp university. We are not BJP.
नहीं, इट्स ओके, फैक्ट्स आर फैक्ट्स। आई एम श्योर आपके व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे सही सूचना आती होगी। चलिए, नेगेटिव है, बहुत अच्छी बात है। हम भी चाहते हैं कि मुख्यमंत्री नेगेटिव रहें, पर एक बात तय है कि right now there is only one way out for Uddhav Thackeray. The indications are clear, Varun Singh, that there is no going back for the rebels unless there is a rapprochement between the two parties. Realistically, do you see that happening? कि बीजेपी और शिवसेना साथ आएंगे अंडर उद्धव?
No. I may be completely wrong. You may crucify me for saying this, but whatever I hear from all the MLAs I have been talking to for the last 2 to 3 days, and I'm telling you, I was sitting with BJP MLAs when they gave me the info that Sena MLAs or MVL MLAs have gone back or gone out of city, and I tweeted it at 10 on Monday while everyone woke up at like 12:30 or 3 in the night. I don't see in any form that this government will continue and this government will fall. It is imminent. I don't see it going to the floor test also. I see it before that it may Uddhav may resign. And not only that, the second thing is the BJP is silent. The BJP, the stock silent. You see from them, none of their leaders are speaking except for the Ranis. I don't see any other leader coming anywhere and saying anything. The BJP is assessing the situation, and I'm told by many BJP leaders that they want a midterm poll. That would be the best thing for them. A midterm poll will be the one that will help them in coming back, because there's a lot of negativity. A lot of water has flown under the bridge between the Sena and the BJP. There's so much of angst amongst the workers of Sena and BJP, the way things have happened. They coming together under Uddhav Thackeray will not help or will not be beneficial for the BJP in the long run. And I clearly see that there has to be. And this is the reason why you see, I'm telling you, in the end, there would be only one MLA or two MLAs left over here. One MLA would be Aditya Thackeray, the other could be a Sunil Prabhu or someone else. But remaining all, as the numbers are coming in, they have left. And all, as I said earlier also to you, most MLAs who are here, they are in body over here, and in by heart, most of them are in Guwahati, because they represent Hindutva. When they saw that their alliance Congress was running banners of Savarkar and the Sena over here was silent, party with whom they are having an alliance over here used to threaten people if they would say anything against Savarkar, they would be bashed. And yesterday or 5 days before, we saw in Delhi people from the Congress were trying to, being sarcastic about Savarkar. Yeah, and that's
how fellow panelists that one of the policies of Balasaheb Thackeray was that of as a socialist. And Congress as a political party was also inclined towards socialist objective. So don't think that there is no bridge available between
Balasaheb was socialist. Balasaheb was socialist. Ratan ji, मिलिएगा हम लोग चाय पीएंगे इसके ऊपर.
Yes, he was a socialist conservative. In fact, he was against the capitalist culture in Bombay. Get your facts correct, sir. And I'm saying it with all responsibility. Yes, Balasaheb Thackeray was a leader who stood for the downtrodden, who stood for the laborers, who stood for the peasants, and he was the one who stood for a socialist conservatism.
Balasaheb was the original Samajwadi. Anyhow, sometimes coalition makes you change your politics. Apparently, it also makes you change your history, according to Lokesh Jindal. Thank you very much. On that note, I'm going to have to thank all you gentlemen. But these are interesting times indeed. Now, the Chief Minister has reached Matoshri. These are the live visuals that we are getting. He's already left the Chief Minister's residence. Large number of Sainiks have gathered in support of Uddhav Thackeray. There is still suspense about whether he is COVID positive or not. The last we have heard is that in fact a complaint has also been filed against him by BJP leader Tejinder Bagga, saying that there has been a violation of COVID protocols. We'll keep a very close eye on what happens. Right now, everyone is in watch and wait mode. The last we heard is more MLAs are headed towards Guwahati. Draupadi Murmu, a self-made leader, a former governor, and an activist who's worked her way up, has been picked as the BJP's presidential candidate. Her credentials definitely make her a fit choice and a historic choice for the top job, because it will be for the first time that a lady who has been from an Adivasi background will occupy the highest office in our country. Even as accolades poured in for the lady who has faced adversities, personal setbacks, and she humbly accepted her nomination, the Congress was quick to cast aspersions and doubt her integrity and the intent of this decision. From deriding the outgoing President Ramnath Kovind to calling Draupadi Murmu a dummy president even before the presidential race picks up pace, the Congress went on a slander spree. Udit Raj, former member of parliament, was leader of the pack. Listen in to how he justified his insult.
Campaign that, look, nobody has made Adivasi as president of India make vice president, but they should not be rubber stamp.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Now, the slander aside, in a sense, the BJP has thrown down the gauntlet for the other parties. Remember, Yashwant Sinha is the nominee for all the other opposition parties combined. Now, questions are being asked about whether Sinha will step back for a unanimous election of Draupadi Murmu to the office of president. Joining us, Shehzad Poonawalla, national spokesperson of BJP. Lokesh Jindal continues with us. Vikramanand, spokesperson of VCK, is also with us. My first question is to Saket Gokhale, national spokesperson of the TMC. Do you think that it's good form that Yashwant Sinha should step aside for Draupadi Murmu?
No, why should he? I mean, this is a democracy and everyone is allowed to contest elections. That's the point behind contesting an election. So why should he step down? I mean, he brings to the table a certain ideology. The opposition brings to the table a certain ideology. And
what is the ideology of Mr. Sinha to make him fit for the highest office?
The former finance minister, I mean, seriously asking me that? He's the former finance minister of India. He's the former defense minister of India. This is the person with a proven track record of governance. You know, there is no tokenism here. Sorry, we're not trying to make a, we don't use the president office for virtue signaling. The president is meant to be the guarder, the protector of the constitution. And Mr. Sinha brings all those capabilities to the table.
But Mr. Sinha occupied those offices while in government for a party which you say is antithesis of everything that you hold dear. Democracy and secularism.
No, he was under Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government. And ever since Mr. Modi took on the mantle of the BJP, Mr. Yashwant Sinha said that Mr. Modi is a disaster for this country, and he left the BJP after that.
Okay, so his impeccable credentials versus tokenism of Draupadi Murmu.
Cabinet, he was not in Modi's cabinet.
Okay, Shehzad Poonawalla. So you're saying that Atal Bihari Vajpayee's cabinet was the good cabinet, right? Versus the bad cabinet now.
Is that how you guys measure? I mean, what's the IQ of this show? Like 11 right now? Because
exactly of the people who are present here. It adds up. But anyway, that is not the point. That is not the point, sir. That is not the point. We are not into a juvenile method of debating.
You're asking me a very juvenile question.
You might think so, but you gave a juvenile argument. If you really want to get into such adjectives, a juvenile question was prompted by a juvenile argument. That being said, you're accepting that his credentials are impeccable, which means you're saying, all right, so the Vajpayee cabinet was a good cabinet, where you had impeccable credentials and impeccable ministers, right?
So are you saying that Mr. Yashwant Sinha was a creation of the Vajpayee cabinet, that he had no history before that? That Mr. Yashwant Sinha was born, became a cabinet minister, and that got him qualified? I mean, how juvenile is this question really?
As juvenile as the argument that preceded it. But anyway, let me take it across to Shehzad Poonawalla. Shehzad Poonawalla, no tokenism of having a Draupadi Murmu. It is somebody who has professional credentials, like Yashwant Sinha. Why should he step back?
Padmaja, I'll just take 30 seconds on your show and then I want to end my statement with a video
But before I do that, let me just tell you that personally, how happy I am that the NDA and the BJP and its parliamentary board, which was chaired by the Prime Minister and the Honorable President, has elected somebody like Draupadi Murmu ji, a single woman who raised her children, faced adversity, came from the most challenging backgrounds, got elected at a young age. She worked in the irrigation department. She got elected at the Nagar Panchayat level, then got elected twice as an MLA. She served in various capacities as minister, went on to become the first woman governor of Jharkhand, completed her entire tenure there.
But
she is
Saket
going to be
Gokhale
the
is saying
first
that's
woman
great.
president
But it's
candidate from the
tokenism.
tribal community. One second, Padmaja, may I please complete? Padmaja, please let me complete. Let me, as a son of a single mother, please let me express my feelings for this great lady and the person who has a spotless track record in administration, in handling constitutional positions, and she will be the first tribal woman president and the first president candidate from a state like Odisha. So let me express my great thanks for the people who have backed her, including Naveen Patnaik ji and others also who are coming to support her. But let me just end by saying couple of things. I don't want to go into the kind of statements and the language Yashwant Sinha ji has used in Twitter and on public forums. I don't want to show that video of him, but I want to show a very important video because Congress party is also here. The following video is of Shri Chidambaram ji on Shri Yashwant Sinha ji. Please hear it. You will be delighted. Hamara IQ bhi बढ़ जाएगा.
Mr. Yashwant Sinha today is a distant memory for the people of India, and I hope he remains where he is, a distant memory.
Yashwant Sinha has become a distant memory, and Chidambaram ji said he should always remain a distant memory. By the way, Digvijay Singh had accused Yashwant Sinha ji of a 25,000 crore UTI scam and had demanded his resignation and the CBI inquiry.
Okay.
And Yashwant Sinha in turn returned the favor by asking Mr. Chidambaram to be jailed in Tihar.
Okay,
So I want to ask the dear friends
memory,
from Congress
and he was called one by Mr. P. Chidambaram, who fights your cases in Calcutta High Court. Saket Gokhale.
Correction number one, Mr. Chidambaram in Calcutta High Court was representing Keventers. He was not representing the government of West Bengal. He was the attorney for Keventers. He was not representing the government of West Bengal in a PIL filed by Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary of his own party, which the West Bengal government won. Number one. Number two, going back to your point about impeccable cabinets, let me remind you that my party chairperson Mamata Banerjee was a railway minister in the same cabinet.
The question is not that. The question is, Mr. Chidambaram says Yashwant Sinha as a part of memory should stay there.
You know, I'm trying to bring a little bit of facts here because evidently nobody does their homework here before coming. So my party chairperson was a minister in the same cabinet, as was Mr. Yashwant Sinha. I did not interrupt this gentleman. Please tell him. Again, this is absolute garbage.
Okay, please let him respond to that. Let's respond to the video though, of what Mr. Chidambaram says. Yes.
Why should I defend Mr. Chidambaram?
Padmaja, because we have to improve our IQ. Tonight we have to improve our IQ, Padmaja. Please, Padmaja, I want my IQ to be improved, ma'am. Please, answer le lo iska, please.
Saket Gokhale.
I am not the Congress spokesperson. Mr. Chidambaram's views should be asked to the Indian National Congress, not to the Trinamool Congress. There's a big difference between the two parties if you don't know that.
Okay, I'm unfortunately out of time. My apologies to Mr. Vikraman and Lokesh Jindal both. However, there is still some time before a final decision is taken. I'm sorry, Shehzad Poonawala and Saket Gokhale as well. I'm going to have to end it here. But I promise you, we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to pick up this thread. For the time being though, thanks very much for watching and enriching us with your wisdom.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The Shiv Sena, they're camping there under the leadership of Eknath Shinde, and getting in a bit of breaking news update, the TMC has now said that the BJP has always played cross bat. So that's another reaction, an allegation coming in.
At 10. The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
Opposition's presidential candidate, and the decision that is expected to be taken on that as far as the meeting, the second round that was going to happen today. We're given to understand that Yashwant Sinha's name has been finalized by the opposition.
News Hour at 10.
Let's get you breaking news coming in from Maharashtra now. Even as the crisis looms there for the Shiv Sena, there is a massive show of strength that is taking place. Pro-Sena chants are greeting Uddhav Thackeray. Listen in.
Rahul, and good evening to all my esteemed panelists. Tanveer Bhai is a very dear friend, and I hope he won't interrupt me or mind my saying this, that if tomorrow he goes to a neurosurgeon for his brain surgery, is he going to tell the neurosurgeon कि डॉक्टर साहब यहाँ से नहीं यहाँ कट मारना, क्योंकि मुझे पता है. I am astonished when he says that he is telling you that Rahul, an able defense force officer, becomes able only after 7 to 8 years. So he means to say that our 3 chiefs of the armed forces do not know, but Tanveer knows कि भाई 8 साल में ही बढ़िया ऑफिसर बनता है, आर्मी या नेवी या एयरफोर्स का 4 साल में नहीं बनता है. But and the other thing, Rahul, the other day I gave you 7 reasons why I support Agniveer, and they're all logical.
The Shiv Sena, they're camping there under the leadership of Eknath Shinde, and getting in a bit of breaking news update, the TMC has now said that the BJP has always played cross bat. So that's another reaction, an allegation coming in from the TMC, just as has been said by the Congress and the Shiv Sena as well in the past. We have Kirti Azad joining us on the phone line. Mr. Azad, what do you make of this allegation coming in from the TMC this time around, saying that the BJP has always played cross bat?
Well, what did they do in Madhya Pradesh?
But isn't it really directly related to the particular government's concern not being able to keep their flock together? BJP will use this as an opportunity, yes, if the Mahavikas Aghadi is unable to keep matters in their hands.
Correct. Money, ED, IT, NSA, they all can be used to BJP's advantage.
And how is that, Mr. Azad?
Haven't we seen it?
No, in this particular case, how is it that any of the agencies is being put to use, as you're alleging?
Well, haven't you seen what has happened in the past? A few months ago, on the various leaders, and every time they can't convict anybody. You've seen approximately more than 3,000 cases by ED have been framed on lots of people.
So, Mr. Azad, are you implying that all of these MLAs have decided to part ways under some sort of pressure?
Well, it's quite evident. It's very evident. What happened in Madhya Pradesh? Can you tell me that? Didn't they try the best in Bengal? Didn't they try the best in Rajasthan? Rajasthan, they almost had them.
Well, all parties involved, including the Congress and the Shiv Sena, currently in damage control mode, Mr. Azad. Let's see how this plays out. Too soon to really come to any sort of conclusions. I'll have to leave it at that. Thank you for joining us with that perspective. Let me go across to my colleague Vaishali, who's joining us from Surat. Vaishali, क्या जानकारी दे सकते हैं? कितने विधायक अंदर होटल में हैं? हमें क्या कंफर्म्ड है कि सारे शिवसेना के हैं?
जी बिल्कुल, जैसा आप देख रहे हैं सवेरे कल रात से ही वो लोग यहाँ एयरपोर्ट पास की एक होटल में रुके हैं कल रात से ही, और आज सवेरे से ही सूरत के आप जो भी है मीडिया जगत के सारे लोग वहां पे पहुंचे हैं, और वहां पे जो जानकारी हम लोगों को अभी तक मिली है तो उसमें यही है कि ये जो सारे विधायक हैं वो 22 जो विधायक है वो सारे ही शिवसेना से जुड़े हुए हैं, और उनके नाम का लिस्ट भी जैसे मैं आपको भेज चुकी हूँ। मतलब वो कहा जा सकता है कि वो सारे शिवसेना से ही जुड़े हुए हैं।
शिवसेना and netas are now being
opposition's presidential candidate, and the decision that is expected to be taken on that as far as the meeting, the second round that was going to happen today. We're given to understand that Yashwant Sinha's name has been finalized by the opposition. 17 parties were invited. They were supposed to be part of this opposition meeting. Yashwant Sinha this morning took to Twitter. He said he is hoping that a larger responsibility is entrusted on him, and his party's chief Mamata Banerjee approves of that. Looks like it's not just an approval from Mamata Banerjee but from a united